Well, hello everyone and welcome along to what has become a slightly toasty, slightly overcast afternoon here at Monza as we're live for the Creventic 24-hour series Hankook 12 hours of Monza, live in sound and vision across the Radio Show Limited network as we bring you live coverage of this qualifying session for the 12 hours of Monza. It's not just me in the commentary booth, my name is Lewis McGlade. Alongside me is Paul Smith, and Paul, we're in for a good one, aren't we, surely?
Yeah, this should be an absolute cracker, shouldn't it be? It's Monza. I mean, what challenges is it? It's high speed. You've got the heavy braking zones. These drivers are going to be tested in a different way to how they were last time out at Spa. Fortunately for us here today, it's nice and dry. A bit muggy, a bit hot, but it's still nice and dry. There you see the calendar is last time out on the 6th and 7th of May at Spa to this weekend, Monza, before we head to Estoril in July and Barcelona in September. But yeah, certainly, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, certainly. So obviously the halfway point of the championship, whilst there is an extra special non-championship bonus round at Villarreal. We'll talk about that a bit more later on. It's not just us up here in the commentary booth. We are also joined by Peter Mackay, who will be down in the pit booth. We'll see if we can go and catch word with him as we build up to qualifying.
Race fans, I'm down here in a historic pit lane. Circuit Nazionale di Monza, where we're just about to go green for qualifying, and it's the GT4 and TCR machines who will go first. And as Lewis mentioned, very hot, very sticky and muggy here. The drivers will be glad it's a relatively short qualifying session for that, but we'll see who comes out on top in just a moment.
Yep, thank you, Peter. Like I say, we'll be going down to Peter Mackay at various times throughout this qualifying session and across the weekend. We'll be jumping down in pit lane as well. The qualifying session, though, is about to begin. The first of those out onto the circuit, though, is our lone TCR car. They won't be the only one out in this qualifying session. We do also have the GT4s going out with them, and there's a bit of almost like a merger in the kind of.
Yeah, Creventic this round, they're trialling something to try and give these GT4 drivers and the TCR team a bit more competition, and they've brought themselves together in the GTTC sort of grouping. There's no championship for it, there's no overall standings or trophies for it. It's just they're trying things out. They're taking the opportunity here at Monza to try this out. So the Home Guard Motorsports Cupra Leon is out on track right now, just on its outlap with Roy Edland at the wheel of that car. So definitely a bit of a different opportunity for the TCR because they've been given a little bit more freedom, haven't they? Yeah,
so basically the changes that's happened for the TCRs is, I'll touch very quickly on what's going to happen in the race, because basically when it comes in under code 60, they're allowed to now fill up the tank to its to the full capacity rather than just the half capacity under code 60 like everyone else does. But also, and this is more prevalent to qualifying, they've also had 45 kilos removed, effectively all of the ballast removed from that car, so it is more competitive. And in practice earlier on, it wasn't the slowest car on circuit. It actually ended up beating out one of the GT4 cars. So there's a little bit of competition for them throughout this qualifying session. Of course, we're in qualifying 1. There are 3 qualifying sessions, and throughout all of that, they'll be running different drivers between each qualifying session. It's why you have to qualify as a team, and effectively it's the average time of all 3 of those times throughout the 3 sessions.
Yeah, an important note for all those teams as well that are competing here this weekend for qualifying. You're not allowed to change tyres unless you get a puncture.
Yeah.
You know, the Creventic aren't that sort of evil in saying no, that's it, you're done. No, they'll let you change a tyre in that situation. But no, it's a really interesting way of doing this this qualifying, of giving a few of you drivers the opportunity to get out there and get underway, as the Cupra Leon is just going to be starting their first hot lap out there. So we'll be keeping an eye on the timing screen, see how they get on. As we say, we've got the GT4 cars out there with them as well. So we've got the you can hear the thunder of the Mercedes AMG GT4s go past here, so it really does reverberate around here. I will say, this is my first time actually being at the venue for a Creventic 24-hour series event, so I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, same for me as well. It's always great to see race cars going around racetracks and being absolutely hounded to the limit. I will just touch very briefly on the GT4 category, because in the practice session that we had earlier on, the Atlas BX Motorsport car was actually the car that topped that practice session, and so they're coming into this with a little extra confidence that potentially they might be the strong ones. It was 158.836. They were almost a second faster than the championship leader Bugura ZM Racing car. So it does seem as though that's where the fight's going to be, at least this weekend. Obviously, Atlas are trying to get after it because they're second in the championship. If you can make a move now, we're halfway through the season. It's now or never for some of them.
And don't forget as well, unlike some series where when you have the reduced numbers in the field, some championships will actually change their points according to that, whereas here it's the same points throughout the championship. So if you finish in first or second place here, it's going to be worth the same as at Spa last time.
Yeah, now I'm not sure if they've actually ended up going out onto second, but we're going to head straight down to Peter Mackay because he's got some news on the Autolando Sport car, as I think there might be some issues for them.
Thanks, Lewis. Unfortunately, there is issues with the Autolando Sport Porsche Cayman GT4 RS. This is the latest GT4 edition of the 718 Cayman, and unfortunately the Autolando Sport crew are not going to make it out for qualifying in this session. A lot of work to do to this mid-engine machine, and the mechanics paying a lot of attention, particularly to the rear of the car and the mid-engine section there as well. Different to a 911, which has the engine in the rear. This has got the engine in the middle. So unfortunately, no qualifying for car number 475 for Orlando Racing.
That is indeed quite the shame, but there we go. We do have the news. We did also just see there, as we were looking back on the on-screen action, the Atlas BX Motorsports car just went straight on coming through the Rettifilio. Such an easy corner to miss. It's a heavy braking zone, incredibly hard. But at this point in the session, they're building up for their laps. We're running around about a second to a second and a half slower than we were in practice. That's not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. I was actually going to point out something, is that the two Mercedes were actually drafting each other on their first lap. So the 416, the Bugura ZM Racing team, they actually got advantage of that. Whereas now the 403, the Atlas DX by Motorsports, they're now getting that draft coming through to start this next lap. They'll be looking to get a hot lap time. The TCR car in practice was running in around about a 2-minute lap. Now, an interesting thing with the TCRs, if you don't realise this, they're front-wheel drive. So the front wheels will get nice and toasty in qualifying to start with, but the rear wheels take a lot longer to come into play. So watch for their lap times coming a little bit later in this first 15 minutes. Yeah,
I know it's a 2-minute 0.6. Let's see. They're just about to come across the line now and improves to a 2-minute 0.5. That is actually only a tenth off the time they did in practice. That is an absolutely brilliant lap time. From the TCR, the Home Guard Motorsport TCR. That is a really impressive, again, to have replicated that, and this early in the session. Like you say, this is a car we'd expect to get faster and faster, whilst the front tyres do tend to overheat. It's a TCR car. Yeah, I mean, you know that quite well, Paul. But the thing is, around here, less so.
Yeah.
You're not leaning on those front tyres too much. Yes, you've got the traction zones out of the Rettifilio and out of the Rogia, and a little bit out of the Curve Alboreto, but realistically speaking, it's not too much of a high tyre wear circuit for the TCRs.
One thing that the TCR car will struggle with is through these long sweeping corners.
Yeah.
You know, through the Curva Grande, through the Lesmos as well. You're putting a lot of force through that front left-hand corner, and with it being a front-wheel drive car, you're putting a lot of the effort through those front tyres. So I think when it comes to the race, that's where maybe it may just lose out on these GT4s, but it seems to be competing well with the GT4 so far.
Yeah, Edland took a little bit too much curb for my eye going through the right-hander at Lesmo 2. They're driving now up towards Ascari, using a little bit of the curb over on the right-hand side as they start to turn into the Ascari section. On the way out, I'm not sure if this lap is going at full chat, but it does look pretty nice. And again, they do seem to have some decent speed. Presently second in this session on that 2-minute .5, but it does seem as though the Bagheera ZM racing car is actually going even faster with a purple middle sector, currently sat on a 59.9. I will just touch on it and remind you once more the times from practice. The fastest time we saw from the GT4s was a 58.836 from the Atlas BX Motorsport car. So an improvement from the Holgard machine, and that has crossed the line to do a 2-minute .222. So that is a very solid time. That's the fastest they've done comparing this qualifying session to practice, as well as the 59.744 that Bagheera has just done.
Yeah, and a bit more of the times coming in as well. The Atlas DX Motorsport team, they've gone and improved their lap times then with a 2 minutes 1.027 for them, and now across the line as well for the Team ACP Tangerine Associates outfit in their BMW M4, the GT4 car. They've just set themselves a lap time as well of a 2 minutes 1.148. So actually, it's quite compact as the qualifying between third and fourth. It's just there's a little bit of a step gap between them two and those in the front two places.
I will say, by the way, and I know, again, for those listening on radio and stuff, it can be a little bit difficult, but I'm going to say I really like the Bagheera livery. It's white, it's black, it's red, but it has these fantastic, almost Valentino Rossi-esque yellow highlights and stuff going through. So that is absolutely fantastic to see. I do quite like the liveries that we've got, but that one is a highlight for me. I'm not going to go on too much about liveries, don't worry, as we've got a purple second sector coming in from the home guard car as well.
Yeah, so, well, and this is what we expected, isn't it? We expected those times to improve and to get better from that TCR car. That's what we seem to be getting here right now. So they're sticking in with these GT4 cars out there on track. So definitely we're seeing those times. See, GT4s are not really setting any personal bests at the moment here, so maybe they've used the best of their tyres. That TCR is just now coming into play a bit more.
Yeah, speaking of the TCRs, I didn't know if I heard in my ear, but I'm pretty sure as they've gone to the top of the timesheets with a 59.577, I do believe that Peter Mackay might be down in the home guard area having a little bit of a chat with the squad.
The driver who's going in next, Jonas Holmgaard. Jonas, Roy's put a bit of a marker in there for you.
Yeah, he's been an amazing job for now, so hope I can make the same job as well.
And how exciting is this to go up against the GT4 cars? It's something a little bit different. Is it scary for you? Is it exciting? Tell us about that.
I think it's a good decision. We're missing some cars this weekend, so I think it's a pretty exciting race to be against them. So hope for the best.
And you're just about to get in the car. What's going through your mind at this moment, ready for that qualifying lap, low fuel, new tyres?
Just being fast. Just being fast.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Wow. Again, the qualifying time coming in there, 59.577. Obviously, they're the top TCR that we have. Of course they are, because they're the only TCR. But we have spoken about this, Paul, about this being a David versus Goliath story. I know they've had some adjustments, but it's what's making it more raceable for this TCR team. The fact that they are there and they are here to fight with some of the GT4s. I actually think we're in for a bit of an interesting race for this group.
Yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting dynamic, and it's all about how the race goes for them tomorrow going into the interval. Yeah. If they can stay on the same lap as the other GT4 cars, then I think that will really put them in good stead. And having that full fuel load in Code 60 conditions, I think that'll be really good for them to just give them that little bit of an advantage over those GT4s. We've got one of our cars out on an out lap. That is the Atlas BX Motorsports outfit. Obviously been on pit road, decided, right, we can't change tyres, so they've obviously just come in, check something on that car perhaps, and come back out there, and they're going to go again in that GT4, that very chrome and black liveried car in the Mercedes-AMG GT4.
I've always liked a chrome car. There's something about it that really stands out, catches the eye. There was an improvement on the previous lap time. The Bagheera car did actually set itself a 59.697 as far as my eyes can see. You can see it on the screen there. But the Bagheera car has improved, but it's not enough to take the pole position in this joint qualifying session between them and the TCRs. That is still being held by the Holmgaard car. So no switches there, but they are below the 2-minute mark. The other two times, as there is an improvement there from the Team ACP Tangerine Associates car, the 421, that has moved its way into third position, but only by 0.03 of a second. So the Atlas car, which topped the practice session coming in, has got a bit of work to do here heading into Q2 and Q3.
Yeah, and I just don't think they've been able to work. As I say, they almost gave a slipstream to the Bagheera car in the first run, the first outlap and flying lap. So they really helped that car out, and that Atlas team, they're just struggling a little bit for time. But of course, we've got another 2 15-minute sessions to come yet for these cars. We've got 37 seconds left on the clock on this opening qualifying 1. The drivers and teams will just get 5 minutes to get themselves prepared, get another driver into the car, and then they'll be out for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, obviously the only car that's missing from this is, interestingly enough, the 403 Atlas BX Motorsports car returns to the pit lane. So fourth is as good as it's going to get. But remember, the lap time they have set here is crucial. It's a 2-minute 1.074. And the way qualifying works is it is an average time between your 3 qualifying sessions. So if you can get that time as fast as possible here, it may help out later on. Couple of lap times left to finish in the session. Team ACP Tangerine Associates will come round to take the checkered flag in the session. They're currently sat on a 2-minute 1.045, and they do improve slightly in the final sector, but it's not enough to improve the lap time. So at the moment, provisionally, that pole is being taken by the Holmgaard Motorsport TCR car that is set a 1-minute 59.471. Now, this is where the driver swaps happen, so it's different drivers between the qualifying. Do you kind of think there might be a little extra pressure on the on the new drivers getting in? Kind of like thinking, well, here you go, pole time's done. Get on with it.
One of the team members just gave a big hug to Edlund getting out of the car as well when he was going into the garage. So they're very happy with that performance. So. They're over the moon, and why wouldn't you be as well? The Swedish outfit, not Swedish outfit, sorry. The outfit from Denmark is very happy with how things are going out there so far, and yeah, I would imagine that a few of those GT3 teams will be looking at each other going, all right, we need to turn up the wick a little bit here.
Yeah, they've got to respond. Like you say, they're not playing around. Lap time-wise, we know the GT4s can go faster. They can break the 1-minute 58. We have seen that in practice. Now, obviously, it depends on which drivers you're doing. Maybe Verstappen's not the fastest driver in the car, and so they're going to switch it all around. That's absolutely fine. We know there's a bit more work for some of these to come. So I'd suspect that we are absolutely going to see a 1-minute 58 at some point throughout the qualifying session. But I just love the fact that the Holmgaard car has thrown down the benchmark and has said, right, this is what we've got. What do you have? And it's kind of, I don't know, it's just, I think that's very exciting.
It's a bit like poker, isn't it? All right, I'll show my cards. What have you got? And you know what? They've done a very, very good job in that car as well. They're just sat on pit road, and obviously we've been mentioning it's quite hot, it's quite humid here today. They've got the leaf blowers into the front of the car to get as much air through the radiators, just to try and deal with any of the heat that they've got. But certainly that's going to be a good one. But I believe that Peter Mackay down on pit road has got the man who's putting it on provisional pole in class.
I've got the man of the moment here, Roy Edland, who's just topped the timesheets in his TCR machine. Roy, that was a heck of a lap out there, and fighting with these exotic GT4 cars, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a good 2 laps. I got Kim on the radio telling me to push, and the car felt great all from the start. And the first 2 laps, I did quite easy, just to get the right temperature on the tires and not overheating them too fast. And I was just pushing as hard as I could. So really nice. Really nice to see the 159 come up in the dash. So it's all good.
And I mean, for me as a pit reporter, I'm a lot. It's so muggy today, but what's it like in that race car?
It's hot. It's hot, really hot. But luckily it's clouded now, so it could be even worse. But that's the way it is. So just have to live with it. That's yeah. It's good afterwards.
Well, we're looking forward to TCR versus Goliath tomorrow. Good luck for the race.
We also. Thank you.
I mean, I think Roy Edland might be an honorary Dane for the day after that. I know he's Norwegian, but you know, you're taking part in a Danish team with a Danish squad around you. Yeah, you can hop on the Dane train for a bit. I mean, what a mega lap!
A tremendous lap, absolutely fantastic, and you know, these. As he said, he's set the benchmark, and he's certainly given us plenty to think about here for not just the rest of today, but also for tomorrow and Sunday as well. And one thing I will say about this series, as we're just in the break, great thing is free entry to the circuit.
Yeah.
To be able to watch some really good motorsport here this weekend, and this is what the Creventic 24-hour series is all about, is getting people the opportunity to watch some really good motorsport.
Yeah, and like you say, it is really good. Yes, I know we're at the moment we've got the TCRs and the GT4s about to go out for qualifying too, but of course later on we do have the GT3s, GTXs. We're going to have the 992s out as well. It's going to be a busy qualifying later on. As the timer has started once again, there is a gentleman having a nap on our screen. Fantastic. The session begins again. 15 minutes back onto the clock. You know what the times are, what they are aiming for, and you know how to make this up. Jonas Holgaard is the one jumping. Holmgaard is the one jumping into the Holmgaard motorsport car. That was the driver we were catching up before we caught up with our provisional pole sitter in Roy Edland. So we'll see if there can be a little bit more of a response from the team.
Well, I mean, it'll be difficult. One thing that will help straight away, though, for Jonas is that those rear tyres, they won't have lost all of their tyre heat, so he can get pretty much straight on it now and can really push on in that car and get those lap times in when he can out there today. So, yeah, I know we're talking a lot about the Giant Killer. We're talking a lot about the TCR, but why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
It's fantastic. It's brilliant. I know listeners won't know this about me, but I'm a big front-wheel drive guy. I love my touring cars.
That's the only reason we get along, actually. I also love myself a little bit of the touring car action. There's something just so raw and visceral. But I've always said I like TCRs, and I do really, really like GT4s because you can't. There's almost like there's no room to hide in a car like that. When it slips and slides, when it catches you, everyone always has told me that a front-wheel drive is easy to drive, and they are not.
No.
There is a methodology, and one person, a good friend of mine, Eric Strong, who actually works for the FIA now, he gave me a quote that it was, when you get into like understeer or oversteer in a front-wheel drive, it is harder to catch that oversteer or understeer than it is in a rear-wheel drive. You've got a little bit more room to move. Now, before we go into the qualifying lap, we'll head down once again to Peter Mackay, who's catching up with someone in the pit lane.
I'm down here with Catesby Jones with the ACP Tangerine Associates car. Catesby, you're looking remarkably fresh because you're about to go into this race car around this incredible circuit. How are you feeling?
Oh, super. This place is awesome. It's such a pleasure to be able to come here. We raced all over the place, but never here, and this is a super cool experience for everyone.
It's a circuit that has an atmosphere when you go in. And coming here, what's it like going out onto that track for the first time? Are you pinching yourself a little bit?
Yeah, it's so cool. And it's a fairly simple circuit, but it's got a bunch of groove turns, which are just like you get in the groove, you're like, oh, this is awesome. Let's have fun. And then you're going fast, and you're like, okay, we love it. Why not?
And there's this little upstart down the pit lane, this Cupra TCR getting in your way. You've got BMW and Mercedes. You're not going to let them mess you around, are you?
No, those things are surprisingly quick, so we'll try to do what we can to keep them behind us. But you never know how it goes, you know. This is endurance racing, and, you know, we've got 2 good friends driving with us, and we just try to keep it on the track, be consistent, don't mess up, have a good time.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you there to Catesby Jones, obviously down to that team, ACP Tangerine Associates, the car that is presently qualified in 3rd position. 2nd position, obviously, in the GT4s, 3rd position overall, courtesy of a lap time from Goldberg in the previous session. That one was a 2-minute 1.045, just to move them ahead of the team that topped that practice session in the Altus BX Motorsports car. Of course, we are still not expecting the Autoland Sport car, which were having issues in Q1. They didn't go out to set a single lap time, although I do believe they might be, at least no, they're not, never mind. It's just because they appeared on our tower, on our TV. I thought there might have been hope. Alas, no.
Yeah, well, you never say never. You know, they might be able to get out and sort of use.
I didn't say never. I said no.
But you know, we're back underway. We've got the first few lap times coming in. A 2 minutes .196 for that Homeguard Motorsport Cupra TCR. And that is currently, right now, the fastest of the times that have come in. But just as I say that, we've got a new lap time coming from the Atlas BX Motorsport car, and that is a 1:59.893 for them. So that's their quickest time for their team in qualifying so far.
Yeah, which is really good way to start the session. Although I've got to say that 2-minute .196 is very impressive at the moment from Homeguard, because that was actually faster than how we saw Roy Edlund start the previous session. Now, this could mean that he's overdoing the tyres. In that interview that Peter just did with Roy after Q1, he was saying that he started out the session slower, he built himself up through the session, and Roy Edlund was able to bring out a little bit more and end up doing a 59.471. So whilst, yes, a very healthy lap time, the fact that already the Atlas car has gone into the 59s with a 59.893, that is a strong lap time for a car that we know, and so far is the only car that in practice and qualifying thus far has got into the 1-minute 58.
And they're currently going quicker as well, a purple Sector 2 for the TCR. A couple of times coming in a purple first sector as well for the 421, the Team ACP Tangerine Associates outfit. So Steve Webber in that car, trying to extract lap time out of his Hankook tyres. And as we mentioned earlier on, no tyre changes allowed, so therefore they've all got to qualify on the same rubber. But with these Hankook tyres, they'll be sound.
They're endurance tyres.
Yeah.
The Hankook tyres are absolutely fantastic on lasting the time. So 59.937 then set by Homeguard. Now, you will see the timing tower might be a little bit skew-iff from where you'd expect, because you've got a 1:59 ahead of a 2-minute .7 ahead of a 59.8. That is because the qualifying time is done by averages, and the order is in averages. We've just seen the fastest lap time set in this qualifying session, or in qualifying in whole, because we've just seen a 1-minute 59.427. That is roughly 500ths faster than the time that the Homeguard car set in the hands of Roy Edlund in the previous session. So setting a 4.27, and I get the feeling that that 4.03, the Atlas BX Motorsports car, is finding a little bit extra speed and going faster and faster as this session's going on. We're approaching halfway through the session. There's 7 minutes and 50 seconds left to go, and still plenty of time for teams and drivers to find that little bit more and move themselves forward. This lap time, despite being great, is still only good enough on an average to put them into 3rd.
Yeah, Roelof Bruins doing a a great job, cracking job behind the wheel here in qualifying 2 for them. And it must be the chrome paint. It must be, you know, more aerodynamically
I don't know what other reason it
efficient.
is.
Yeah. Has to be. Yeah, these drivers, they're pushing on, they're trying. I mean, we're getting purple sectors for a couple of the teams out there as well. So the times are coming in. It seems to come to them with these tyres. Just take a few moments to get everything up to temperature and then really push on as well. So, yeah, great to see these cars pushing on. And the 416, that would be the Bagheera ZM Racing team. Currently second place in overall qualifying of this section, but they're the fastest GT4 car.
Yeah, and also they are the championship leading GT4 team. The important one for them to cover in all of this is the Atlas car, because that's the one that's second in the championship. We've just seen an incredible improvement from Holmgaard, just come across the line to set a 1 minute 59.587. The story of David versus Goliath continues here, as look at that time from Atlas. It's actually put them up onto the GT4 pole. He's just set a 1 minute 59.109. That is incredibly fast. We know this car can get into the 58s. They are showing it now.
Lap times are coming. This is what we wanted now. You know, we're getting a bit closer to the, well, we're just past the halfway point of this session. So these drivers really just in their stride. They know what they'll get. They'll be getting the call over the radio saying, right, we need you to push now and to really get those times in. But with 5 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in this session, they've only actually got about 2-3 laps.
It's a long lap.
It's a long lap.
Yeah, 3 laps left to go for any further improvement. The 403 Atlas BX Motorsports car is the one that is closest to getting within the 1 minute 58 with a 1 minute 59.109. Still not enough to take the overall pole position within the categories. I will just give you the average lap times briefly. The Holmgaard car has a 59.529 average, which is half a second faster than the Altus car, so the Atlas car that has a 2 minute .091 as its average, but it is getting faster, and there is a third driver yet to come.
Yeah.
And look at that, look at these sector times coming in from the Atlas car as well.
Yeah, exactly. The times are coming in thick and fast, so they are just getting faster and faster at this stage in qualifying. We've got a purple middle sector now for Olaf Bruins as well, so he has really got the bit between his teeth in that 403 Atlas BX Motorsport car. What will he do across the line? We'll have to be patient and wait. Here they come to the finish line, across the timing line, right at the far end of the starting straight. And there we go, 1 minute 59.108 is the lap time.
And do you know what? That was the same lap time they just set. That is back-to-back 159.108 from Bruins. Because I was looking at it being like, I'm pretty sure that time didn't change. And Bruins' average lap time is still, the average lap time for that car is still a 2 minute .091. So whilst it was technically a faster lap, around here, you're talking of over the lap, there'd be millimeters between them, not the microseconds between them, and that is what makes that lap time so impressive for the Atlas car heading into the heading into Q3, heading into a 12-hour race over the weekend. The fact they have that speed and the consistency to go with it, we know that consistency wins races like this. We're now looking on our screen. The Team ACP Tangerine Associates car, which is presently third in this qualifying session, has just had a bit of a slide coming through the first of the Lesmos as they're racing their way up towards Lesmo 2, out towards this backstretch towards Ascari now. A 2 minute .688. The car that came into this second in the GT4 class is going to move back to third in the GT4 class after the Atlas car's improvement.
Yeah, just having to just to play about with the timing screen there. Apologies, but yes, it's going to be tough in that BMW. I think it is just struggling a little bit there for that overall speed. But I mean, you look at the the actual fastest lap times, there's very little between them and the car in front. The problem is it's those average times that are really hurting them. There's, 7/10 of a second between that 416, the Bagheera ZM Racing car, and the 421 of the Team ACP Tangerine Associates.
Well, we're heading over the line now. There is 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in this session. So the Team ACP Tangerine Associates car will cross the line. No improvement on this one, but they're heading on to what will be their penultimate lap time if they want more, if there is any more breathing room in the car. The Home Guard and the Atlas cars are both in the pit lane. That is the top two in qualifying right now. They are both in the pit lane, and they will not take part any further in qualifying two.
And do you know what? I don't see any improvements in lap times either from the others as well. So they're not even setting personal bests right now out there. So we can see on the live, the world feed that's given out to us, the heat haze that's coming off of the track going down towards the Curva Alboreto. Yes, I did call it the correct name. I've been promising myself to do that correctly, but yeah, it is really, really warm out there today for these drivers and for the teams, and then for us in the commentary box as well, because it's not the best ventilated of commentary boxes I've ever been in.
It's a bit toasty. Then again, we come from the world of sim racing and esports commentaries, where you typically commentate within a room in your house, normally a bedroom, where it gets very, 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 very hot in the middle of summer. So it's fine. We're used to this. We're used to this. We're just swimming. But it is the qualifying two basically coming to a close. I think Team ACP Tangerine Associates might actually be improving. There is a green middle sector coming through from them with a 41.144 in that middle sector, comparatively to our fastest time that did a 40.550 in that second sector. I'm not sure this is going to be a major improvement, but as we were saying before, it doesn't matter necessarily about your position in this qualifying session. It matters about the time you are setting. That is the important bit.
Yes. All that average time, it's all going towards them, and therefore that is what they need to be doing out there, getting themselves that lap time wherever they can. If they can eke out even just a few hundredths of a second, just that little bit just helps them towards that average lap time, as the checkered flag has come out on this qualifying session. So the final couple of cars going out there around just to try and get themselves their final set. In fact, the 421 Tangerine Associates team, they're onto pit road. So they've just decided, you know what, we'll come in, do our quick service, change a driver, and then get ready for qualifying 3.
Certainly so. So to give you the brief update, it's the Home Guard TCR car that is presently topping qualifying at the moment after 2 qualifying sessions. Then it is the 403 Atlas BX Motorsports car that is in second position overall in this session, but of course the pole sitter in the GT4 category. We actually did just get the improvement. We say that the 416 has just crossed the line. That one's the Bagheera ZM Racing car. It's just crossed the line and just improved.
That's a heck of a lap time to put him right at the end of qualifying there. Seeing the checkered flag, a 2 minutes .283. So 2 minutes .283 is their lap time coming in right at the end, and that just brings their average lap time now below the 2 minute mark. Their average is 1:59.990,
and it takes them, like you say, back up to the provisional pole inside the category. So the Bagheera car has got up there, has taken over provisional pole position with a late lap time. Yes, it wasn't the fastest of the session. That did go to Bruins, who did that 1:59.108. That is the fastest lap time that we've seen thus far. That doesn't mean it is going to be the fastest lap time that we see of the day. We've got qualifying 3 to come. Again, third drivers getting into the car, out there to qualifying around Monza. And like you say, it's now or never for some of these teams, and especially for our David versus Goliath story for that TCR team. They've got a bit of pressure on their shoulders to hang on to what would be overall pole position between these two categories. They're at the moment, they're on that pole by around about 4/10 to half a second on the average lap times.
Not bad. It's a good day in the office so far for them, but they've got another qualifying session to really stamp their mark on this qualifying here today at Monza. But that TCR car, it's the Cupra, Leon. It is a pretty much new car, is that? So it's a very capable TCR car, some of the latest tech in that one for TCR, and certainly they're taking full advantage of it. And as we heard in one of the interviews earlier, it's not the most difficult circuit when you look at it on a map.
No.
When you look at it, you just go, oh, well, it's a straight, then a chicane, then a straight and a bit of a curve, and then a chicane, another straight, couple of curves, straight, chicane, straight, curve, you're at the end of the lap.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more to it than that.
It was 5 corners.
Yeah.
5, was it 5? Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on whether you count the Lesmos, the two of them as one, if you were to get to count the chicanes and stuff. But effectively, you've got 5 or 6 things you need to think about around here. And so it doesn't seem that difficult. But the run out of the Alboreto curve, the drive off of the Rettifilio, that first chicane, the commitment required through the Roger and Ascari, and then getting the 2 Lesmos correct, which are, I mean, we know this, again, more from the esports side of things, are 2 of the most awkward 90-degree right-hand corners that is possible to make. The first one, you're never really sure if you're hitting the apex late enough. And the second one, there's a big dip on the inside, which you kind of need to be brave enough to throw the car into. Whereas if you're in a TCR, you might be able to brush over the curb a little bit on the inside, but I wouldn't want to do that for 12 hours. It's a difficult track. It looks simple, but it is everything the exact opposite of that.
It's all about those runs out of those chicanes, out of those slower corners. The Lesmo too, such an important run to get that and to hook that up nicely, to get that run down towards the Ascari chicane where you plunge underneath the old banking here, which we've yet to actually
We've not gone onto it yet.
We've not done the touristy bits yet.
No, maybe we need to take Brian out there. See how Brian does the banking. Of course, that is our car for the week.
Car, yeah.
Oh dear. Like you say, obviously, whilst we're getting into qualifying 3 here, we're also getting ready for the likes of the GT3s. But once again, we will head down to Peter Mackay, who's got Jolic after the qualifying session.
I'm here with the lady of the hour, Aliyah Jolic, in the Bagheera Mercedes, who's just put it on provisional pole. Aliyah, how was that lap out there, or those set of laps? You were out there drilling them in.
Yeah, I mean, it was an okay qualifying. Yeah, I think I got a good lap time. I hope I got it on the last lap. It's funny because the one lap I was not really pushing. It was my best lap, so, you know, easy wins the race. But, you know, I'm happy with the qualifying, and now it's Adam's turn.
And tell us about how this compares to your, you've been racing in the Dakar and all kinds of cool things like that. How does it compare out here in the circuit racing?
Oh, it's a little bit different. Just a little different, you know. There's no sand. It's not 2 weeks long. This is only 2 days. So, yeah, it's for sure a very different experience, but both is really am enjoying it.
And tell us about the ambitions of coming here, because you're a very ambitious lady. You've got some great achievements under your belt so far, but where do you want to get to in this category of racing?
And specifically here in the GTs, my dream is to race in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, so hopefully one day I can get the opportunity.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with that, for that dream and also for tomorrow. Well done in the lap.
Thank you.
Certainly so, and again, what a lap time it was. Cheers to Peter for that. Jolic, like you say, she's done quite a lot in the world of motorsport, having done Dakar and stuff. I don't think the lofty dream of Le Mans is actually out of reach at all. I mean, a little bit this weekend because, well, it's a bit late. But no, of course, like absolutely in future, when you're putting together consistent lap times like that, and I've always said before, as I said earlier on in the session, in GT4s, you have nowhere to hide. Mm-hmm. You can't, that's not me saying that a GT3 is easier to drive than a GT4. I'm saying they are different beasts.
Yes, absolutely. And you think as well, if you can be versatile and multifaceted in your motorsport achievements. You get so much more seat time in terms of not just actually driving as fast as you possibly can in the set conditions that you're in, but it also gives you different skills as well. You know, driving in Dakar is an entirely different skill to being out here on the track, but there are transferable skills from that.
Always.
So you can, as much seat time as you can get is actually really good for a racing driver just to keep sharp. And to be honest, bringing it to Monza, putting in that lap time, yeah, sensational stuff.
Like I say, the more seat time you can get, the better. It doesn't matter what it's in. Whether I mean, some people have said that they would never drive a front-wheel drive because what's the point? I only ever want to drive rear-wheel drives. I'm like, you will learn things in front-wheel drives that you can't really learn in a rear-wheel drive, but will help you in a rear-wheel drive. There are people that I know that have done a lot of rallycross and things like that, and they say it does translate in some degrees. There are some catches that you can make now that you've got used to it in rallycross or doing rallying or doing Dakar that you can now do on the racetrack. All of this experience, it adds up. Anyway, waffle o'clock is over because we have qualifying 3 action underway. And again, a reminder that the Home Guard Motorsport car is presently the one on pole position between the TCR and the GT4 categories. In the GT4 category alone, at the moment, it is the Bagheera ZM racing car. But of course, we've got that little bit of a joint weekend. If you are just joining us to the coverage now, there is a bit of a thing over the weekend where the GT4s and the TCRs, in an unofficial capacity, are effectively racing each other. The TCRs have been balanced out a little bit more so that they're a lot more raceable with the GT4s. And I mean, I think we're in for a bit of a treat this weekend because of it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea that Creventic have brought in here. As we said at the start of the broadcast, it's an opportunity for them this weekend to just try a few things out and to try putting that TCR with the GT4s as we're finally starting getting some lap times coming in with drivers finishing their first hot laps, but the times will come rattling down here. But as we said earlier, the TCR car, it's been given a 45 kilo weight reduction. It's got freedom of ride height, which, from speaking to a couple of TCR people who've driven TCRs, I've spoken to Tyler Maxon, who races out in America. Ride height actually has a big effect for these TCR cars, especially with that splitter right at the bottom of the front of the car. So it really can help them gain a lot of lap time out there.
Well, we've just seen a switch when it comes to our overall standings because Yongkyung Kim has come across the line to already get below the 2-minute mark with a 1:59.554. That is very impressive. That is in the Atlas BX Motorsports car. That is an impressive time to start out this qualifying session with. Now, as an average, courtesy of the time that's just being set by Mortensen in the Home Guard car, that actually means that the provisional pole time between the two categories has changed. That said, I do expect the TCR car will get faster as the session goes on. Just again, getting into the comfort zone with the race circuit once more, although I am concerned about how much track it's not using on the way into Ascari.
Oh, well, we were looking at the pictures and the Atlas car was getting a little bit loose on the exit of Lesmo 2 as the Bagheera car comes across to set their first real lap time here in qualifying, qualifying 3, should I say, 2 minutes, 0.748. But as we've been saying, those times are going to come down a bit more. And right as we say that, the TCR car comes across the line and sets itself a new lap time of 2 minutes, 0.727.
Yeah, which is not going to be good enough to retake over the provisional pole time on our timesheets just yet. There is the Team ACP car coming down towards they're coming down towards the first corner now, going down into the Rettifilio, just brushing over the curb, not using them as much as we would expect. That's absolutely fine. Committing, getting that power down on the exit. Meanwhile, the Atlas BX Motorsports car has just come across the line and set the fastest final sector that we have seen in this qualifying session. So there is plenty more time in that Atlas car. Will we see a 1:58 in this qualifying session? We've got very close with a 1:59.104. But is there any more in there?
I'm going to say yes.
I'm also going to say
I'm
yes.
going to say yes. I'm a positive person. I always like to look at the positive side of things, and yes, I do think we're going to get into those 158s, which should be a heck of an achievement today, given how things are with the conditions out there. It is getting warm. The sun is starting to come out again to the track, and the air temperature will be increasing slightly for those drivers out there, so maybe not going quite as fast, or capable of going quite as fast as they did in qualifying 1 and 2, where it was more overcast.
Yeah, Mortensen is coming down through Ascaria now towards the final corner at the Alboreto curve. And what we're seeing on our screens is how much there is that heat haze around, how hot the circuit has become. It is thick out there. It is humid out there. It is warm, and that is driving up the track temperature, making it a little bit more slippery and a little bit harder to drive. The Bagheera car has crossed the line to set a 2-minute .245 in the session, but does remain in third overall, as we've just seen an improvement from the Holmgaard car, which is to a 2-minute .089. And the reason why that is important is on average times between the 3 sessions, they have retaken over pole position.
They certainly have, and that is really impressive lap time once again from that Holmgaard Motorsport outfit in that Cupra Leon TCR car. What can these GT4s do to try and answer that? Well, the 421, the Team ACP Tangerine Associates outfit in that BMW M4 GT4, that's on pit road right now, so unfortunately we can't see them from our commentary box, but certainly we'll be interested to see what happens out there. Now, something has happened, and it's a little bit of grass going into the De La Roggia for the 416. That's the Bagheera ZM Racing car, so just testing the limits of the track limits here.
Yeah, to be fair, it kind of seemed in the replay that we saw that as they got onto the brakes, the car sort of like squirreled and danced around. They do typically do that into the Roggia. There's just a little bit of play on the rear, as what we've seen also from the Atlas BX Motorsport car, which, by the way, improved to a 1-minute 59.161, which is the second fastest time that we've seen, is another one that we've seen from the Atlas car, but is not good enough for the provisional pole. At the moment, the average time for the provisional pole comes from the Holmgaard car. It's a 1-minute 59.715, and the Atlas car has set a 1-minute 59.781. So a few hundredths down on average, which what that means is that if you want to beat it effectively, you've got to find another couple of tenths. So if we want to see this car on pole position, if we want to see the 403 Atlas Motorsports car be the Goliath and destroy David, then we need to see a couple more tenths out of that car.
We certainly do. Although the Atlas BX Motorsport car is just putting in a purple sector in Sector 2 right now. So times are coming down, and we'll see how qualifying goes. Unfortunately for the Autolando Sport team, they weren't able to get out at all in the 3 qualifying sessions, so they are out of this. And what's that, Lewis? That is a new fastest time that we've seen.
I've just seen the Bagheera car as well come through Lesmo 1 completely sideways, managed to catch it, and again it's going completely sideways through Lesmo 2. I say there's nowhere to hide in a GT4 car. We're seeing a bit of a drifting example here, but yes, absolutely, the Atlas car did just improve. It set the fastest lap time that we have seen in qualifying with a 59.090. That is an impressive lap time, but it is not good enough. It means the average times are getting closer, but we still need to see more time. There's 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in this qualifying session, and what that's telling me, Paul, as much as these Hankook tyres are absolutely fantastic, they have done this is entering their 43rd minute of driving around the Monza circuit. That's a lot of time in the session, a lot of time of constant pushing, a lot of time of constant leaning, and I am not sure that there is enough left in these tyres to find that all-important 10th or 2 improvement that the Atlas car needs to overcome the TCR car.
What it does tell me, though, is that the teams will say for this third qualifying session, right, we don't need to save any tyre. Go, just give it absolutely everything. Do not leave anything on the table here in this final qualifying session, because it could be worth a position or two on the grid tomorrow afternoon.
Big time. And as much as Monza's not typically known as a circuit where you can't pass and track position is king, everything that you can get, every tiny little detail that you can find around here just to get you ahead of 1 or 2 cars and get out of the danger zone, which always is at the Rettifilio at turn 1. That TCR car of the Holmgaard Motorsports team comes across the line. No improvement for them. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in this qualifying session. Does anyone have anything in the tank to take it to the 102, to the Holmgaard Motorsport car, to the car which presently has provisional pole position? We have 2 minutes left, and there is only one car improving, and that is the Team ACP Tangerine Associates car that is presently 4th overall, 3rd in the GT4 class, and on a 2-minute 1.341. Though that is the team that is improving right now.
The Holmgaard TCR car did take a little bit of a longer lap last time, did back it off. I wonder if they're just trying to cool off those front tyres just that little bit to give it one final assault at this qualifying session. They are pushing on now to try and get everything that they can out of that Cupra Leon and get through. They've just come through the second Lesmo, heading towards the Ascari chicane. For, well, I mean, in theory, they could actually get across the line and start one more lap, but I think it'll be a bit of a push for them, as we do get an improvement from that Team ACP Tangerine Associates team of a 2 minutes 0.859 on their last lap. They did a couple of personal bests, but the final sector just wasn't even a personal best for them. That TCR car, personal best middle sector right now, but what can they do across the entirety of this lap? But we have only got 54 seconds remaining in this first qualifying session for the TCR and GT4 cars. We will be then having a little bit of a break between the sessions, and then we will be having the GT3, GTX and the 992s going out for their qualifying session.
Ooh, there is an improvement here from the Holmgaard car. They've just got into the 1 minute 59, so 1 minute 59.958, further moving that provisional pole time out of reach of Atlas, who are not improving at the moment. I say that as they cross the line. It's a 58.981. We do have a 58 onto the board, but it is not enough. It wouldn't have been enough originally anyway, but that improvement from the Holmgaard team, from Mortensen, who crossed the line to set that 59.958, just moved it tantalizing further away from Atlas, and they just miss out provisionally by 5/100ths rather of a second. There is still one more lap left. The time has ticked down to 0. The checkered flag is being prepared, but both the Holmgaard and the Atlas BX Motorsport cars have both started laps. Bugira and Team ACP are also improving, so there is a lot happening in the final moments of this qualifying session. This is ride or die type stuff.
I don't think the Holmgaard car will do it, because they've had a messy first sector, so I think they're done for qualifying. Across the line, taking the checkered flag, is that Team ACP Tangerine Associates outfit. They do not improve on their final lap time, so their average is set in stone for them here in qualifying. But Atlas, well, we can see from the world feed that we've got that they are pushing.
Yeah, they really are. Lako's going to cross the line and does improve. Same as what we saw from Jolic. That car, the Bugira car, does have a bit of pace in the final dying moments of the session. Going through the Ascari chicane, I've got to say, Kim is not leaving anything on the table, but I kind of get the vibe there on the exit of Ascari that this car is no longer pushing in the session. It does mean that it seems between our joint venture, between the TCRs and the GT4s, it is TCR on top. Congratulations to Holmgaard, who have taken provisional pole position for the Hankook 12 Hours of Monza.
Absolutely. Tremendous stuff to see that Cupra Leon up there at the front, beating out the GT4 cars. And do you know what? I think this is a tremendous idea from Creventic to bring those two together as one whole, to try and give those cars a bit of a race. And, well, Saturday and Sunday is going to be a real treat between those two classes of cars.
I think so. I think we're in for something fairly special in all of this, and I'm not 100% sure as to where we're going to head, but I do get the feeling that the TCRs, at least the home guard car, does have a little bit to show here to those GT4s. So I think we've got plenty of action in store.
Certainly do. These drivers, they'll get themselves set up and down to pit road, and the team, the home guard team, they are delighted with that, getting hugs from their driver, the driver and the team. They are delighted to get themselves onto that provisional pole position here today. So definitely, it's intriguing to see how things go tomorrow, but hopefully we will be getting some thoughts from down on pit road from Peter Mackay soon, because, well, he's going to have a bit of work to try and get a word with a few people because they're too busy celebrating.
I get the feeling, again, we want to hear what the feeling is in that TCR, in the home guards. I know we obviously caught up with a couple of drivers. We caught up with Jonas home guard. We also caught up with Roy Edlund after his fantastic Q1 run, but we'll head down to Peter now and see what he's got in store for us.
Well, how exciting was that? Martin Vettel putting in the lap that he needed to in this Sonac Home Guard Racing Cooper TCR. Martin, what a lap that was from all three of you as well. You're on pole in the class. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels great. We know that for this weekend we had to race with the GT4s. But it's nice to see that we're able to beat them, so it's looked promising for the race.
And tell us about the tyre, because this is a clockwise circuit, front-wheel drive car with quite a lot of power. How were those tyres hanging in there in those last few laps?
Well, as the last drive out there, the tyres were not in their best condition, so every time I had one quick lap, I had to do a cool down just not to overheat the tyres. So I was told in my ears that I had one lap, I had to do that to be on pole, so I took one slow and then I banged one in. So.
And tell us about the race tomorrow, because it's going to be so interesting. David versus Goliath, little touring car versus the big GT4s. What do you expect tomorrow?
I expect the GT4s to be fast on the straights, so it's going to be difficult to overtake them out there. We're going to win on strategy, manage our tires well, take our pit stops at the right timing. We have been great at doing that this year, so it's about the right strategy.
Good luck tomorrow and well done.
Thank you.
Again, a truly amazing lap time within that qualifying session from all three of the drivers that did it. Of course, Roy Edlund started out that session by setting that 1 minute 59.471. Jonas Holmgaard did also kind of push that car up towards the limit, and then Vidal Mortensen there crossing the line to take pole position. What we've also got, because it's not just us here in the 24-hour series, obviously running around in Europe and various other places, we do also have the Middle East Championship, which will be starting later on this year. On the 6th to 8th of December, it'll be the 12 Hours of Kuwait, which is a crazy circuit, by the way. Of course, the legendary 24 Hours of Dubai between the 12th and 14th of January 2024. And then rounding out the Middle East, the 24-hour series Middle East Championship, it'll be the 6 Hours of Dubai between the 19th and the 21st in January 2024 at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. It's not a bad little calendar, and I've got to say, from what I've seen of the Kuwait motorbike, I actually quite like it. It's not a bad little track.
It looks quite a challenging track as well. It's got some long straights in there, but it's also got some complicated sections and technical sections in there as well. But I mean, who can forget the Dubai 24 Hours, of course, a couple of years ago, where they had to abandon it because of the flooding that happened there. Nobody thought that would ever happen, but we did see it that time. But as we are currently, we're in the European Championship. We started off at Mugello back in March, on the 25th and 26th of March. Last time out, it was the 12 Hours of Spa on the 6th and 7th of May in those mixed conditions. And then we here this weekend at Monza, before we then head off to Estoril. We've got the Barcelona round finish off championship, but don't forget as well, Villarreal. That's going to be quite the race.
Well, we'll take a look at some highlights from the qualifying session. was fantastic from them to have done so. It was fantastic for them to have taken pole position, and Holmgaard will be starting at the head of this joint TCR GT4 category. I can't wait to see how it's going to unfold tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to unfold tomorrow. I don't even want to predict too much. You've mentioned it before. I've mentioned it before as well. But we've touched on it a little bit. But there's a non-championship round coming up where we're going to head to Villarreal. So Villarreal then, that is one testing street circuit. We've seen it time and time again, brilliantly in motorsport, whether it's GT stuff, obviously in touring cars, we've seen it time and time again. But to be going there for a non-championship round, I'm excited. I love the track.
6 hours, street endurance race. You don't really often see street endurance races, do you? Really, in such a sort of closed environment like that of Villarreal. But we are getting ourselves set for the GT qualifying. So if you are just joining us, that's going to be the GT3, GTX and 992 classes, all out on track. 950 Porsche, which of course is the Q1 track racing car. It's very, very striking purple livery. Completely opposite to what we've got on our spotter's guide, unfortunately.
No, and also that is the car that you can see there, the furthest left name, the entries from this car. Rubens Barrichello is one of the drivers. We've been talking about Rubens Barrichello time and time again. Will be racing in this race, in the 12 hours of Monza, here in a 24-hour series. I can't wait to see what he's going to do. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And I also absolutely love the extreme purple on that car.
Well, one thing that it is getting on is that that these drivers are getting out there, and it is looking like that we're going to be seeing the more of the AM drivers going out first in Q1. And then it's then following on from that, the other drivers will step in. But the green flag is out, we're underway, and I do believe that Peter Mackay is down on pit road giving us a little bit of information. What you got, Peter?
They had their tyres come out at the very last moment. You can't use tyre warmers here in the Creventic 24H series, and on this number 950 machine, straight on there as well. And driver Minozzi about to head out onto circuit, just waiting for a little bit of free track. And he'll get going in just a moment.
So thank you very much for that, Peter. So yes, all the cars heading out onto the track. Well, I say all of them, not quite all of them. We've still only got about 8 cars have actually left pit road right now, just getting themselves out there for qualifying. The sun is out for us here in the qualifying one of the GT qualifying. So these drivers will be testing themselves against the conditions, and as I said, a little bit warmer than what we had for the TCR and GT4 qualifying.
Yeah, the top time, by the way, when it came to practice earlier on was a 1:49.131. That came in the hands of the BMW Italia Ceccato racing car. Was the lone BMW inside the top 4. I said the lone BMW. It's a lone non-Audi R8. I'll be a little bit more specific on that one, because second, third, and fourth were all Audis. The Scherer Porsche PHX, then the Land Motorsport car, then the Haas RT. Now, the Haas RT car's one to talk on a little bit, because obviously at the last round in Spa, they had a difficult qualifying session. That's a difficult qualifying session. They qualified on pole position, and then had a very difficult race where they didn't get anything majorly substantial from it, and they find themselves further down the championship than where they would expect.
Yeah, it was suboptimal, I think, is
That's
what
a nice
the
way of
people
putting
like
it,
to say out there. So definitely, but we are underway then, and we're getting ourselves now to see lap times will start to happen here, and our timing screen, yes, it has finally updated for us here, so we can actually see what is going on out there. And what we can tell you going on is the 34 Land Motorsport Audi R8 LMS, the GT3 Evo 2, currently going out there, getting some, trying to get those early lap times in, but there's a bit more traffic to contend with here in this part of qualifying compared to the GT4s and the TCR.
Yeah, like you say, it's not just the one class out on circuit. It's not the one class going around at the same speed. You've got the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, the sole one of those. There's two cars within the GTX category. You've got that Lamborghini Super Trofeo, the 720, and then you also have the 701 and the 9 and 11 racing car, actually, so I'll correct myself, as that Super Trofeo, by the way, has just been off going into Ascari. The top time, by the way, in the 992 category in practice with the Rabdan Motorsport by HRT Performance car, it did a 1 minute 51.293. So those are the kind of lap times we're looking at, a 51.293 and a 49.131. But you're absolutely right, finding clean space on track, despite this being a 5.8 kilometre circuit, a full-on, Grand Prix this and a big circuit that, it is hard to find your own space.
Kessel Racing have just gone out in their Ferrari, and it's the debut of this 296 in the Creventic 24-hour series. It does look very good indeed, and it is going to be, well, it's on home soil, so a little bit of pressure on the team, really, is there? Especially after the success that the Ferrari, the actual car, not this particular car, but the 296 had at the Nürburgring a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking good at Ferrari. Not going to spoil anything for yesterday, but, read into that what you will. Things are looking good for Ferrari, and right now to see a 296 on circuit, I've seen a couple in person over the last few weeks, but again, to see it out on circuit here, especially on Italian soil, there is something so special about seeing that. First lap times being set within the session is the Land Motorsports number 34, the Audi R8 LMS that you were saying about, that has set the first lap time in the session of 52.601. That is not representative of a good lap time, and it's not what we would expect at the moment, because we're in the first 5 minutes of the session. There's still 10 minutes left to go. There is still plenty of time for these lap times to come down.
Certainly is time to come down, that is for sure, but as we've been saying, it's important to get your lap times in each of these qualifying sessions, because it is an average-based qualifying here in the series. You want everybody to do the best that they can. Building the car up to have an assault on the lap time, yeah, sure, that makes a lot of sense on that, just to bring those cars in to stay. As we said right when the green flag was shown, AM drivers are in the car for the opening part of qualifying for Q1. Then Q2 and 3, you take those drivers out and swap drivers as lap times are starting to drop a little bit. And the 21, the Haas RT car, now with the fastest time. Forget about that, because more lap times coming in as well further down in your order. The 992 class, they're relatively close in lap time, but they've not quite got the edge that these GT3 cars have. If ever there was a track that those 992s could potentially have a crack at those GT3s, it would be here, with there being so much high-speed straights action.
Yeah, certainly so. And like you say, we'd be expecting them to sort of... Normally, the 992 around here, from what we're seeing from the timing, they should be around about 2 seconds off of the GT3s. That's off the front of the GT3s, not off the back. And so realistically, what you can expect is that, if you've got a team which is 2 seconds off the pace, well, they're going to get swallowed up by a couple of 992s. Again, as you said before, looking at what we can see, our world feed, we're taking a very good look at this Kessel Racing Ferrari 296. It's not in red, just to clarify anyone listening and thinking, oh, it's surely in red. It's surely in red. It is not. But it is in this very striking. It looks, I will say, it looks better in person. This black and almost gold over the rear end, and it looks, in my opinion, it looks fantastic. I love how this car is looking. Black and gold in a race car looks quite good. That new Ferrari 296 looks absolutely excellent, and again, to see it wrestling its way around here, I can't wait to see. A couple of improvements then across the line. The Haas RT car gets into the 51 zeros, and so there's a little bit of an improvement from them, but again, for the GT3s, we're expecting them to get just about into the 49s and maybe even a sneaky 48.
One car hasn't taken to qualifying. That's the 719 911 Racing in the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. That's a 991 car. And the reason why that's done in GTX is because it's not part of the 992s.
Yeah.
So it had to be put into the GTX category for this season. And yeah, they've not headed out of pit road at all according to our timing screen. So hopefully everything is okay with them. And they're just taking their time, although 6.5 minutes remaining here in qualifying one, should I say. Time is running out, and it is still the number 21 of the Haas RT team out there in provisional pole position at this time with a 1 minute 51.164. Saying that, the number 91 comes in with a quicker time, and they will get themselves in there. So Herbeth Motorsport getting themselves into provisional pole position in that 911 GT3R. Wow, what a time, 150.613.
Yeah, Daniel Alleman behind the wheel at the moment. Again, to remind you, whilst we're saying about the lap times doing this and doing that practice session, there was, everyone could go out and do as they wished. In this session, they are the AM drivers. For the AM, there are AM drivers out in this session right now, so maybe not necessarily expecting times to be quite that fast, but that is very, very impressive from Daniel Alleman to have taken at least provisional pole position at the moment in that Herbeth Motorsports car. Second place in the session is the Haas RT car that's done a 50.877, so there is some decent lap times coming in from that Haas RT car. And then third in class is the CP Racing Mercedes. They're presently running in third position within the GT3 category, and in the 992s, by the way, is the Red Ant Racing 903 that's presently on provisional pole position.
The number 90 E2P Racing Porsche 911 GT3 is up into provisional pole position now with a 1 minute 50.328. So the times are tumbling now. They're starting to come down here in this session. We were expected to see 49s, weren't we? But like we say, AM drivers that are in first, maybe not quite at that. Now, as we are having a look at a replay on the world feed.
So what we're seeing is how erratic the braking was. I was going to point this out. I just called it out whilst you were talking there. But the number 90, the car that's presently on that provisional pole position, the E2P Racing car, was having a very sketchy moment in the braking zone going into the Rettifilio. It started snapping and wiggling, and the problem is when it does that, it's so easy to lose the rear end of the car, and unfortunately, generally in that occasion, you'll crash. You're likely to crash. It's not as if you're just going to get a lock up and go straight on. If the car's wiggling like that, it's a very, very difficult thing to control. So I will say that was well handled, and they still hit the apex, to be fair.
As Neuhofer Rennsport onto pit road, and in fact are up on the trolleys and are going back into the garage. So potential issues for them there. We'll have to wait and see. We also saw that the Vortex, the only Vortex that's out there, was just getting a pit stop. And Peter has got news from our pits.
So just a quick report here on the Nohofer Rennsport Porsche 9992 Cup car. Nothing to be concerned about. These high temperatures here are putting the cars and the tyres under a lot of stress. So you don't want to run the entirety of every qualifying session. Some of the other teams in pit lane have taken the opposite approach. They've waited until later in the session before going out. So nothing to worry about there. The Neuhofer team were very, very happy when Markus Neuhofer got out the car. So no problems there, nothing to worry about.
But we have got problems for the Willie Motorsports by EB Motors car. The 955 car is off at the exit of Ascari chicane, and it has got quite a bit of damage to the front end of the car. There's a bit of bodywork at the side of the track. It looks like on the exit of the Ascari chicane they've maybe just touched a little bit of gravel or something on corner exit, lost the back end and headed out to the left-hand side, driver's left-hand side, and I've actually gone into a tyre wall there as well with the nose of that car is what I'm assuming has happened here from the position that the car is in on the left-hand side of the track.
Yeah, it's almost certainly hit that wall on the left-hand side. Hopefully, again, fingers crossed, everything's okay. Probably would have been quite a shock. It's an extremely fast part of the circuit. But I will say, whilst the red flag's out, 3 minutes and 14 seconds left, and that Willie Motorsports car, not only is that big for this qualifying session, that's big for the championship, because that is the team that is presently leading the championship in the 992 category. And who are they leading it over? Well, it happens to be the 903 Red Ant racing car that is presently on our provisional pole. And this gets even worse when you start to think that that damage is probably going to be far too much to get back to the pit lane and to get repaired and get back out again for qualifying 2 and qualifying 3, meaning that car is most likely going to start from the back of the 992 category.
Big news there for them. Let's just quickly run through how things stand at the moment. So it is the number 90 E2P racing car on provisional pole position right now. Their time of 1 minute 50.328 is seeing them about half a second actually ahead of the second place car, the number 91, which is of course the Herbeth Motorsport car, and they are well, like I say, half a second between them two at the top of the field. And that is also AM and Pro-Am class cars currently in first and second place. The top of your Pro GT3 cars is the number 21 Haas RT car here as well. So definitely intriguing to see how these AMs have performed out there in qualifying to start with. We've said Red Ant Racing, they are in provisional pole position for the 992 class. The 992 AM class provisional pole position is actually for the 907, which is the RMP racing car, and they are currently 9th place overall, but in pole position for 992 AM.
Yeah, indeed. Now, obviously being in the red flag period, will this session go back underway? We had a note from race control. It does say session will be resumed. So with there being 3 minutes and 14 seconds, there's still plenty of time left in this session to get out, get round, and get a lap onto the books. And of course, the sole team that won't go back out in that is the Willie Motorsports car. So we won't see that 955 out. Do you think we'll see everyone else out? Because obviously you're still going out on the same tyres you've just done. You're still going out. It's not going to be easy. Let's put it that way.
It depends how long it takes for them to recover that car as to how long, as to whether anybody goes out. Because of course you are allowed tyre warmers. So is it a case of get the tyres quickly off the car, get them into the warmers just to try and retain whatever heat that there is in those tyres? Or do you think 3 minutes 14, we get out there for an outlap, that's best part of 2 minutes, we'd only have one lap. Are we going to get the best out of the tyres in that one lap with our driver?
Yeah, and of course, a reminder, there is, well, I say there is, because anyone listening on the radio will be like, where? We just got our first glimpse of one Mr. Rubens Barrichello, looking pretty happy in pit lane, ready to go. We've got a couple of drivers coming to the end of pit lane. Not 100% sure as to which one it is actually in doing so. I get the feeling it might be the 928 NKPP by HRT performance car that's come to the end of pit lane, purely based on the fact of it's exceptionally orange, but not 100% sure on that one, whilst the recovery team still out on the circuit, still putting the time in. And some people might have also noticed we had a little bit of a shot of the on-board sequence going into the pit lane. The pit lane speed limit is very slow. It is 40 kilometres an hour. So that is going to play a big part tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow and Sunday it's going to be telling for these teams as to when they do make pit stops, how they work strategy as well. The tractor is out just doing tyre barrier repairs at the moment on the exit of Ascari chicane before we get the green flag. So we're still waiting for that. But let's head on down to pit road and Peter Mackay.
I'm down here with a man that knows a thing or two about this Monza circuit, not only winning here in the race, but putting it here on pole. Rubens Barrichello, it's a pleasure to be here with you and to have you here in the 24/8 Series paddock. You've been on here before, on pole before. Can you do it again today?
It's a different story, isn't it? It's I know the racetrack very much. I love this racetrack, and in fact, we were looking. I think the record it still seems to be mine from the V10s in 2004. So this is an unbelievable thing. Obviously now with GTs, I'm gaining more experience with that. I raced the stock cars in Brazil, which don't have ABS or traction control and so on. But I love these cars, and it's good to be doing with friends. I think the future is for me to come back with my kids, with Fernando and Eduardo. I hope you guys watching, love you guys. Hope that we can do this race sometime soon together.
Tell us a little bit about that project, because there's lots of places you can go endurance racing in the world. Tell us about that journey and what you'd like to do with your sons.
Well, they doing what they would like to do. Obviously, Fernando is racing Formula 4 in Spain, and he's trying to get to the very top. Eduardo, we were run out of budget. He was racing Formula Regional, got on the podium in Spa last year, but we had to bring him back to Brazil to race the stock cars with me. But he's put on podium on the Porsche Cup in Brazil, and for sure he's racing awesome. So for me, it would be just a pleasure, if I still physically and mentally okay to compete with them, that I'm not too slow for them, I'll be fine.
And for you, you've been to the circuit so many times in your days in Formula 1 and that. What, if you were to give anyone a tip, if they're coming here to the Monza circuit, what's the thing that they should see? What's the thing that they should do? It's Rubens Barrichello, the travel agent here. Tell us the advice. What should they look out for?
Well, I mean, if you're actually driving the car, you gotta have a good stability on braking. Braking is almost everything, because then you position the car, you will have a good traction just by braking stability. If you come to Monza just to watch, have fun. Is a place to watch, and I'm honestly so glad that if you asked me some time ago, so at age 51, you're gonna have this amount of speed and you're going so fast yet. Would you buy it? I would buy it. So I'm so happy with my my conditions and the way I'm doing at age 51.
Well, it's just a pleasure to have you here, Rubens. Good luck for qualifying and for the race too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter, for that. We have had news from Race Control that the driver from the Willie Motorsports by EB Motors car, they will be just taken to the medical centre just for checks. And so that's good to hear that they are they're fine into the medical centre just to be checked. But the session will be resumed, and we've still got one car on the end of pit road, and it's the EST1 racing car, the 981. So they're obviously wanting to get some time in here.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw them going to the end of pit lane, which we can see out of our commentary booth dead on, we're effectively in line, perpendicular with where the car is at the end of pit lane. So we saw them rolling up to the end of pit lane, thinking, "Oh, that's a bit early." Do you not think? But alas, they don't. I do see it being a 2-driver entry on our entry list, which what that means is they will be going out. One driver will be going out in qualifying 1 and 3, as far as I'm aware. They'll be going out in 2 qualifying sessions anyway, and getting those 2 onto the book. So we'll keep our eye on them to see how strong they do throughout the qualifying session in the 992 category. But they have been waiting at the end of pit lane for a long time, and those tyres are getting cold. The car, imagine the temperature in the car right now.
Yeah.
When we got into Brian earlier on, to come from the paddock area, our rental car from the paddock area over to this side of the circuit where our commentary booth is, it was pretty toasty, and that's a race car.
Yeah, both myself, you, and even Peter, we all got into the car and went, "Oh, let's get the aircon on."
Yeah, windows down, aircon on, straight away. I mean, yeah, I know, like the windows down, aircon on, but like, trust me, at that point, you're just like, this is too much, absolutely too much. So, have a thought for the drivers right now.
But this is where a lot of people who are not involved in motorsport, who don't watch motorsport, well, it's just sitting down, driving quick around in a circle. That's easy, is that? I've no thoughts of driving down whatever motorway or autobahn or whatever. But the conditions that they're driving in, you're going to be talking 50, 60 degrees potentially in that cockpit.
Yeah.
You have to be an athlete to be able to cope with those conditions and to keep that endurance of doing lap after lap after lap.
I mean, yeah, like I say, at that point, when you also consider that when it comes to you breathing in and out, you're breathing in and out in like you say, 50, 60 degrees. It is really, really hot in there. You've got noise, the loudest noise you can possibly imagine going on all around you. It's shattering your teeth and bones. You're being thrown around in a car. And not only is it roasting hot, but then you have the fire overalls on. Obviously, safety is paramount in the world of motorsport, but you've got all of these, this fire retardant gear. You've got the balaclava, the helmet. So all of that is making your breathing is getting kind of blocked. It's hard to breathe. It's hard enough to breathe here in this commentary booth, let alone down there in one of the cars. And whilst having all of those struggles and issues, you are forced to throw a car around a circuit as fast as you possibly can. Missing braking zone by millimetres will cost you lap time, and potentially even more so. It is insanely difficult.
It is really difficult to that. We're just getting notice that it will be started at the session to be confirmed. Estimated time of pit lane opening at 16:59 local time. So in about 5 minutes' time, we could be seeing the drivers going back out on track for the end of qualifying 1. This is just the first part of qualifying for the GT cars. We've got another 2 qualifying sessions to come up yet for these cars here. So just a little bit of a delay for us here in Monza. But, well, it's gone cloudy again. The sun's gone away. It's gone cloudy again. That might help a few of these cars get that little bit, just that little scintilla of extra of track time out there. Enough of me waffling on though. Let's go down to Peter Mackay in the pit lane.
I'm really enjoying your waffling, Paul, so don't worry about that at all. Interestingly, with these temperatures and having to make the tyres last over the 3 sessions, quite a few of these cars have not got drivers in them as well. So the drivers have got out and likely just going to let this session run out and then put in their driver for qualifying 2 and qualifying 3. You can see the number 977 Porsche Cup 2 car, the 967 as well, and the 930, the Toro racing car. This is a car I want to talk about because the drivers in this car, many coming from the world of Carrera Cup Asia, including a late entry, Lokai Lo, who is leading the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia Championship at the moment. Now, one thing they're used to where they race is high humidity. This will be like a lovely crisp winter's day compared to them. So watch out tomorrow. If we get similar conditions tomorrow, watch out for the number 930 Toro Racing Porsche Cup car.
Thank you very much, Peter, for all that. And I'm glad somebody's enjoying my waffling.
Yeah, I'm not. No, of course I am. Of course I am. I was curious by one thing in there, though. Did you see what the Haas R2 car had over the wheels? Obviously, it was just like throwing the wheel covers or making sure that they're heated, that they're back to the right temperature and stuff. Also, as the big note from all of that, is that every team in pit lane, all the drivers are out of the cars.
Yeah.
There are 2 cars at the end of pit lane, one of them being the EST1 racing car, which has been sat there for a long time. It's going to be very uncomfortable for them.
We have got confirmation, by the way, that pit lane will be opening at 16:58 local time, so in about 1 minute's time out there. So, yeah, we'll be seeing the cars going back out for qualifying 1, although just the 2 at the end of pit road who are prepared. I don't know if we'll get any more. Well, maybe so, because we do potentially have another car heading down pit road as well. So yeah, definitely an opportunity for drivers just to get out there. I mean, it might be just a case of they've maybe just changed a little bit of tyre pressures or something like that, and just get out there and just get a 2 laps in just to see how it feels with those maybe minor changes.
Yeah, the 2 cars at the end of pit lane that's just being joined now. It's EST1 Racing. You've got the BMW Italia Cicotta Racing. And then just leaving pit lane behind them is the 909, which belongs to the Red Camel Jordans.NL car. So these are the 3. And so far as we are aware, the only 3 that are heading out in this qualifying session. Now, they are a bit further down in their respective groups. Those 2 992 cars are at 4th and 5th in their respective groups. The 909, which is the one that I was just saying, that Red Camel Jordan's NL car, that one is the one that's in 4th position. The 955, it says 955. That one is obviously the Willie Motorsports by EBI, so we'll ignore that one. The other one is the one that's further down in the category, so they're looking for a little bit further improvement. But I don't know about you. I don't think there's going to be any major improvements from this trio.
No, not at all. I don't expect to see, especially the 2 that were parked down pit road for a long time as well, as they're going out of the Lesmos, heading downhill towards the Ascari chicane once again. But we've just got teams on pit road, just sat waiting patiently for this time to run out in qualifying 1 here at the 12 Hours of Monza, the Hankook 12 Hours of Monza, to give it its correct title. And these drivers just and teams prepare themselves more for qualifying 2, and that's when the AM drivers come out, and then it'll be some of those semi-pros and pros that will be heading into their cars.
The big question that I have for you: would you even bother going out in this in this session again? If you knew you've only got 1 lap, if you knew that you didn't have anything else really in the tank, would you even try? Because realistically speaking, these cars, that they're not going to improve majorly. Of course, we've been wrong before many times, and maybe today we add to that. But realistically speaking, I don't think we're going to see anything major from this group.
No, not at all. And to be honest, many people would say that I've pretty much been wrong in the entirety of my commentary career so far.
No comment.
Just from the sim racing world. So why not make it the real world as well? But yeah, definitely. Those 3 that are out there, I just don't see that they'll get any improvements out of their cars at all as we are heading down the time. 26 seconds remain in qualifying 1, and the first sector times are coming in for those cars that are out there on track right now, and they're not even setting personal bests, so it's not working out for them.
I like how you danced around that for a moment. It's not going well. And no, it's not. I do wonder. You know, obviously these are the AMs. So they're like, actually, no, do you know what? I want to just get out.
Yep.
And I want to get into the session and try and just give myself a little bit extra track time. Even if you're not, just get that extra little bit of track time, the extra little bit of confidence with the car, and put yourself in an even stronger position. So I kind of get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I do get why they would do that. So, yeah, the EST1 racing car out there going into the Curva Alboreto. And will they just head straight on to pit road, or will they finish their lap time? Well, the teams are, at least one of them are going to be finishing their lap time, make that 2. And do you know what? We were wrong.
Really? Were we?
Yes.
Again?
The BMW Tally racing car just improved their lap time.
Do you know how shocked I am by that?
Not at all.
I'm shocked that it happened. I'm not shocked that we're wrong. That's the general consensus of where we're at the moment. So qualifying 1 then will come to a close, and in the respective pole positions in their categories, of course, just after the single session, the number 90, Morcillo, is on pole position in the E2P Racing number 90, the GT3 AM car. That is on pole position in the GT3s presently. In the 992s, that will be the 903 Red Ant racing car that's actually held that from the earlier stages. And already qualifying 1 has come to a close. Already we have teams at the end of pit lane ready to get out. What that tells me, considering one of them is the Shera Sport PHX car, is that these drivers and teams know that even around here, a track where slipstream generally is king, track position is more important. Getting out onto the circuit is more important in clean air.
Certainly is. We won't see the pit lane green until 6 minutes past the hour, so in about 2.5 minutes here before we go green flag qualifying in this Q2. So those teams eager to get themselves into position and get themselves into the second part of qualifying. And well, it has certainly been an interesting opening to this one. Unfortunately, having that delay with the Willow Motorsport by EB Motors car heading into the tyre barrier at the exit of Ascari chicane on driver's left, and getting some damage done to that car. So we won't see that car for the rest of qualifying, and yeah, that is a disappointment for them here out of qualifying 1. The car at the head of the queue at the end of pit road, well, they've got the door open because it is a bit warm there in that Shera Sport PHX Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. And so just wafting the door, just trying to get any sort of air movement into the cabin of that car. It's what we've been saying, isn't it, Lewis? Just how hot it is out there for these drivers.
Yeah, it really is. Again, really quite toasty indeed. The fastest time, by the way, from that session was a 52.328 in the GT3 category. In the 992, it was a 52.08, which kind of leans towards what we were saying from practice, is there seems to be roughly 2 seconds between the GT3s and the 992s. That's roughly where we're expecting things to be between them. But we do expect more time as the sessions go on, especially heading into Q2, where you're wanting to put your third driver in position to battle for pole position. We actually have 4 cars, by the way, at the end of pit lane, because Q2 will begin in just a few moments' time. It's supposed to begin within the next sort of 30 or 40 seconds, and we'll head straight out into qualifying 2. Once again, 15 minutes will go onto the board. A slightly delayed qualifying 2 for quite a lot of these teams and drivers. That means the temperature of the cars, the temperature of the tyres, they're going to have dropped, potentially more so than where they were ready and expecting.
Certainly so. The last of those cars from qualifying 1, by the way, has only just made it back to their pit box. So obviously needing to get a little bit of fuel top up. But we've got green flag in the air, and we are underway once again for qualifying 2 now here in this, the Hankook 12 Hours of Monza, the Creventic 24-hour series. Well, Paul Smith and Lewis Glide here in the commentary box. Peter Mackay is down on pit road as well for us to get us all the hot gossip from what's going on down there.
Goss.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only thing I'm here for, actually, is a little bit of hot goss. By the way, as the qualifying has gone out, I did notice the first of the 992s was actually the 903. That was the Red Ant Racing car that is the first one to have gone out, and obviously they are relevant because they're the ones that are provisionally on pole position. Speaking of, by the way, that pesky little man in pit lane, it's Peter Mackay. He's taller than me, so that's fine. We'll head down to him.
Well, guys, you want to talk goss, I've got it for you. I've got Ivo Breukers here. Ivo, that was tricky there with the session stopping and getting back going again. How did you handle it?
Yeah, the only reason I got out again is to keep the tires warm, so look at the warmer tires, not really to push again, because I pushed, I could not go very fast, not much faster, so we just keep the tires on temperature.
I noticed that you go for an open face helmet. Rallying background, because I like the open face. That's proper rally style.
Oh, no, I believe personally it's more easy to fix the belts, etc. That's the only reason.
I think I need to get myself an open face helmet then.
That would be a good idea.
Tell us about racing here in the Creventic paddock, because many of our listeners listening here for the first time this weekend. Tell us what the atmosphere is like in this paddock compared to others. What makes it unique to come and race here?
Yeah, it's very friendly. Everybody's treat each other like friends. If somebody comes to borrow something, you give it right away. And we all share the same passion. That's racing, endurance racing.
Well, so do we, and we're delighted to have you here as always. Good luck for the rest of the qualifying and good luck for the race.
Thank you very much. See you.
Only the hottest of gossip from pit lane. Thanks to Peter Mackay there, as qualifying is well and truly back and underway. I'd like to say some interesting notes in there. I mean, we've seen this as well, even walking around the paddock this morning, is that I typically work over in the British GT paddock with the support series of the GB3 Championship. It is kind of different. It's in the sense of, like, it is more of
family.
Yeah, it really is, and you can kind of see that even from an obvious. Everyone's a lot more open. Everything's a lot more relaxed. Is not really the right term, but I'm going to use it anyway because everyone's still taking it very seriously. They're still taking it to the top level. But there is that thing of everyone wants everyone to kind of move forward and succeed. And I love seeing that. That camaraderie.
Yeah, and it's great to see. Oh, there's so the Willer Motorsports by EB Motors car is just it's actually been dropped off by the recovery vehicle back to garage. So at least the team are getting as much time as possible to get that car repaired, ready for tomorrow's race. So it will be a mad rush. It's not going to be like one of those speed runs that you see of teams having to repair cars. It'll be a nice leisurely sort of okay. Yeah. Let's strip down, see what needs repairing, and let's get new parts on and just take our time about it.
I did just see, by the way, the BMW Italia Cicotto racing car has come out of the pit lane only just now. Now, do remember, this was one of the cars that came out at the end of qualifying one, post-red flag, where they had 3 minutes left to go. They went out in that session, and you brought it up when they got back into pit lane. They ended up, quite a lot of the teams came into pit lane as the qualifying session was about to begin for Q2, and this was one of the teams in the BMW Italia Cicotto racing car. They're one of the ones that had been bitten a little bit by that.
They certainly had, as we're getting the first lap times coming in, and already we've got a 1 minute 49.839 there. So the number one of Shura Sports PHX certainly getting the marker down here in qualifying too, but we are getting those times starting to come in, and of course this will just ramp up now. Now the average times, if you're just joining us here, then it is average time qualifying across the three qualifying sessions that we have here. So yeah, definitely Pierre Caffer doing a good job in that Audi R8.
And of course, Pierre Caffer is the pro driver in that, being in the GT3 Pro Am category. Being the pro driver in the car, you know you've got a little extra weight on your shoulders that you've kind of got to deliver for the team. If your Am can't quite get into those, even lower 50s or whatever, you need to make sure that you're getting a low 49, maybe even sneaking your way into a 48 if you want to start in a decent position come Saturday afternoon. Qualifying session has 9 minutes and 35 seconds left to go, so we're really running into the middle of this qualifying session. The 981 EST1 racing car also delayed on the start of their qualifying 2 run, courtesy of beginning or going out of the final stages of qualifying 1, so they are back out onto the race circuit. The BMW Italia Cicotto racing car being another one of those, as we're seeing a fair amount of almost slipstreaming on the start-finish straight. The Sheriff Sport PHX car, the one that we were just talking about with Pierre Caffer, has just slipstreamed their way past the Kessel racing car on the start-finish straight, and I do believe improved on the previous lap time with a 49.291.
We've seen a change at the top as well. The Haas RT team back to the top of the standings with those average lap times. 1 minute 49.990 was the time that they've put in here with Matthew Detry behind the wheel, the Belgian driver, and doing a good job getting those lap times in. So I think times are coming in thick and fast. It's worth pointing out as well, let's not forget, there's the GTX class out there as well, and it's the 720 car of the RD Signs team. They are in that Super Trofeo Lamborghini Huracan. They're currently leading qualifying in GTX class.
Yeah, of course, the lone other car in that class in this qualifying session is the Vortex V8, which I think is a bit further down, and that's 701. You do also have the 719, the 9 and 11 car, which I believe is still out in pit lane.
It didn't even take qualifying 1
didn't
of that
think
car,
so, yeah.
so,
No, didn't think so.
yeah, so problems for them. So they will be qualifying here in this qualifying 2, and we don't expect to see them in qualifying 3 either, so they're going to be starting at the back of the GT field.
Not sure what happened to them either. That's a
Maybe
Peter Mackay.
Yeah, we need to get a bit more hot goss from down pit.
Yeah, Peter Mackay needs to find out what hot goss is going on. 49.051. Just to clarify the importance of that lap time that's just been set by the number 1, the Sheriff Sport PHX car, the one that we were talking about with Pierre Caffer. That is the fastest lap time we have seen, whether it is in practice or in qualifying. So that is a very big lap for the number 1 in this session at the moment, I believe in 5th place. So there is time for the number 1 to improve, maybe even get its way a little further up. But the Haas RT car, the car that was second, or sorry, was it? It was third rather, in the first qualifying session, looking fast in this one. And what's awkward, but I kind of love it about this qualifying, is you don't necessarily have to be the fastest car. You have to be the fastest average car, and those are 2 very different things.
It certainly is. I want to point out that Adam Christodoulou in the 911-992 class in the 930, the Toro Racing by HRT Performance team, he's actually out qualifying one of our GT3s out there.
He's pretty good, is Christo.
Yeah, he's all right. And, well, let's head on down to pit road, because, of course, we mentioned that one of our GTX field hadn't come out for qualifying. Let's find out what's happened.
I do have a bit of news, unfortunately, on this beautiful Porsche number 719. If we come in to the garage, we're going to try, hopefully our signal will stretch through. There's something that you need that's very important in a race car, and a lot of the things at the back of this car are being looked at the moment. No qualifying session, but this 911 team are very professional, and they will get it back out on track. And one thing I have noticed, I don't know if we'll be able to, well, certainly for our visual viewers, we'll be able to see this. There's a picture of Tony the Tiger on the steering wheel. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. We have to hear the story about Tony the Tiger, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, and introduce yourself to our listeners, sir.
So my name is Jürgen, and I'm the proud team manager of 911. And I think today in Monza we are not the luckiest one. So we made for a missing part, and maybe this evening we get this by the last guys who come with the plane, and then if we're lucky enough, we can fix it overnight. So fingers crossed, we would see.
So it's more a part that you need to get the car fixed. I heard that there's lots of people with private and helicopters just up the road in France. They could go.
No, we're not like this. We all come on the normal way. The owner and me, we make this as a full hobby, and so we drive the truck by ourselves, and so, and that's what's all about here.
Tell us what Tony the Tiger. Why is there a picture of Tony the Tiger on the?
Very often off the Nürburgring, and one of our co-drivers just joke about us. We are his you would say taken tiger, so that is what all this about. So best wishes to Tim Sherwood. You know what I mean.
Well, in the UK, I don't know if you got this advert in Germany, Tony the Tiger says things are great. We think you guys are great, and we hope that you get the part. Good luck for the repair tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Well, that's great. I mean, well, that's great. I can't really do it. But no, that's interesting. A big shame for the team. So I just kick over everything in the corner. We won't talk about that. If you heard that on air, do apologise. Interesting, yeah, obviously, but a bit of a shame for them. But obviously, yeah, chins are up. They're focused on getting the spare part and racing tomorrow. So realistically, that's motorsport, isn't it?
Certainly is. I'll tell you what isn't great is losing your timing screen in the commentary box.
No.
So we're having to do this just by the pictures on the screen, unfortunately, that we have in front of us. But hopefully we'll be able to get that back.
This is when they don't have live timing, and so our TV tower is also not updated. That's where we're in the that's when we're really in the thick of it, unfortunately. But yeah, we just need to keep working our way through. Don't worry, it's a nice first experience.
Yes, absolutely. I'll stop my start watch, as Murray Walker once said, and get that going. Yeah, so we're in the final 2 minutes and 40 seconds of qualifying right now. It is still led in GT3 by the Haas RT team in first place in qualifying. Second place is the number 90 E2P Racing. That's the Porsche 911 GT3R. Third place for Land Motorsports. They are doing themselves good in third place in GT-AM as well for them. The first of our 992 class is the number 930, which is the Toro Racing by HR Team Performance. That's the car that has Adam Christodoulou in it right now, and he is doing well out there, splitting some of our GT3 cars as well. And well, you said that it was going to happen, and it has happened on our screen as well, because now we've lost the time in tower.
Well, we've got a minute and 45 seconds left of the qualifying session, so not too long to go in qualifying 2. And again, the technical world of motorsport, when you do lose live timing and stuff, it does put you a little bit onto the back foot. But like I said, the Haas RT car, the car that had pole position in the GT3 category, of course, a few weeks back when we were racing at Spa, and then like we've brought up a little bit on this broadcast before, got into an awkward position and didn't score any major points throughout the race. I think they finished 34th overall, and I don't think you can really classify it as a finish. So for their championship challenge, they kind of need to find something and dig deep and bounce back immediately. When you're only running a 5-round championship, you've got a lot of work to do. Either way, we'll head back down to Peter Mackay, who is with CTP Racing, I do believe.
I'm down here with Antonio Señero, fresh out the car. You look fresh as if it's the first thing in the morning, Antonio. How do you feel?
Not that fresh, but I'm so happy to be here in this championship, and so happy with the work we are making, so very happy.
I mean, Monza is a circuit that everyone dreams of, but in a GT3 car, 911.2 GT3R, just tell us about the sensation of driving that incredible machine around the circuit.
Wow, so Monza is amazing, and this car, the GT3, Porsche GT3 feels great. So I think it's amazing. It's like a dream for me, being here in this championship with this level of cars and with this level of drivers, and for me it's like a dream. I'm so proud of being here.
Well, it's great. We love having you here. I mean, for me, Spanish food is my favorite food in the world. Is your team catering as good as the food you find in Spain? Have you brought Spanish food with you?
Of course, my team catering is the best here in Monza and everywhere we go. So yeah, we eat so well. Yeah.
Does that mean I'm invited?
Of course, of course.
Very kind. Good luck for the race tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
He's just inviting himself along. Are you getting this? Peter Mackay is just inviting himself, as if the catering that we had earlier wasn't good enough. Suddenly he's straight onto someone else, as if like... To be fair, actually, when we were walking down pit lane earlier, I was taking a little cheeky look at people's garages, and I was thinking, oof, maybe there's seconds up for offer. I will just talk a little bit, by the way, in this qualifying too, of some of the chops and changes that we've had, because we can see we've got on our screen various lap times that have been set. With the fastest one in that session was by Dietrich, who set a 49.361 throughout the session, I believe. Oh no, actually, sorry, I'll correct myself. It was Kappa who did the 49.051 to move the number 1 car up inside the top 10. The number 21's lap time, though, that improvement is enough to put them onto provisional pole. They came into the session in 3rd in the Haas RT car after the lap time that Panu set. So a decent improvement that Dietrich's put onto the board to move that car a little further forward.
Yeah, good effort so far to get themselves to the head of the standings. And of course it is that average lap time is what decides qualifying here in this series. So if you are new to this championship, that's why you're seeing, well, hang on a second, there's a 1 minute 49.0. Yeah, but it's the average time that counts the most out there for those drivers. But we're in the little bit of a rest period, just 5 minutes for the drivers to get swapped over. The teams that have 3 drivers or more will be getting their 3rd driver into the car to get them out there for the start. And again, we've got cars queued up at the end of pit road. So you touched on it earlier, Lewis. It is important, it appears, to get that track position out there in qualifying, get a little bit of clean air. But we've seen as well, with the slipstream that was got off of the Kessel Racing Ferrari 296, that yes, clean air is good, but you want a slipstream around here as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much the slipstream really impacted it, but I think there was some assistance. Once again, now he's really after the hot goss, because Peter Mackay is about to join back into the broadcast because he's down in pit lane.
I do love the hot goss, guys, yes. And I'm down here with Shane Lewis, who's fresh out the car. Shane, you had qualifying 2 done. How did it feel?
It was great. Fantastic. Really happy. The little cloud cover helped us a little bit because our tires get really hot, pressures go up. So a little cloud cover is really good for us today.
And this is more like a Texas day, hot, humid. It's in your comfort zone.
It is. You know, I'm a Floridian and an honorary Texan and all kinds of stuff. So this heat is there. But I have to tell you, it's really affected how we've done the setup of the car, what we've done for the race. And we're in race trim for qualifying. Some guys do a qualifying setup. What you see here is what you get for the race. And we decided that was a smart way to go right now because we've been really working on our tire strategy, keeping the tire alive, keeping everything going. And I think we got a good race car.
Now, you guys are technically in the AM class, but you've made a bit of a habit of winning overall. Is that what you guys are aiming for tomorrow and Sunday?
Oh, I got to tell you, 2022, for CP Racing to win overall, not once, but twice, was like the best ever. Like it just, for the team, for Charlie, for the driver, it's just, I have to tell you, I was so proud of everybody to do that. Of course, that would be the ultimate goal, but we have to focus really on a class win first. And if things come into play and we go, hey, we got a shot at it, we're going for it.
That's what I like to hear. Now, I was just speaking to the guys down at C2P Racing, the Spanish team. They say their catering is the best, but you guys are sponsored by In-N-Out Burger. You guys must be nailing the catering game.
You know, it's really hard to get In-N-Out burgers here in Italy, but that's why we're missing a race in the States. You know, we need to get that back in the States. We get some In-N-Out burgers. They don't travel well in a suitcase, so we'll stick with catering here.
That's a good idea. Good luck for the race tomorrow.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys.
And there we go. We do have the updated standings, by the way, from qualifying. Our live timing is back. It does actually mean that the fastest lap time in the session was actually a 48.998. And also, Shane Lewis, who we were just talking to, actually did enough in the number 85, not to take over 5th position, but to take over 4th position and put themselves in the 2nd row of the grid provisionally, moving into tomorrow's race. So, decent lap time, and also sounds like quite a casual dude. I love the sideburns.
Yeah.
He had excellent sideburns, so I
wish I could pull off the sideburns. I can't, unfortunately.
I don't think I could pull off. Well, no, I definitely couldn't pull off sideburns. I'd look even more ridiculous than I presently do. And trust me, that is a tall order. As those of you watching the coverage, the video coverage, will find out tomorrow, because I'm going to be the one in pit lane looking out for all the hot goss.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Thank you, Peter Mackay. He's just sent us a message saying massive respect for the sideburns. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? It's brilliant. Well, you know, things come back in round in fashion, don't they? You know, the sideburns were big in the 70s. They've sort of went away. Things come around.
Do you really think sideburns are coming back on?
Well, for Shane, definitely.
Honestly, these are not topics I thought I'd be covering in my first Creventic 24-hour series broadcast. So, you know, each to their own on that one. Qualifying 3 is moments away from beginning, just around a minute's time. And once again, at the end of pit lane, as it was in the previous session, by the way, it is the Shera Sport PHX car right at the end of pit lane, ready to go out straight away. The reason why I'm going to bring those up as well. Now, I know it was in the hands of Pierre Caffer, but that is the car that has set the fastest lap time thus far this weekend with a 48.998, just sneaking in to the 1 minute 48. But the thing is, they're finding themselves further down the qualifying session. I think they're in 8th position in the qualifying session. They certainly are. So they've got a bit of work to do. But if they've got that kind of pace between a couple of drivers, then, hey, maybe they might be able to find themselves up inside the top 5, despite having the fastest time of the weekend. Probably unlikely to get pole position, but at least keep them in the mix and put them in the right position to get out of the danger zone for the start of tomorrow's race as Q3 begins.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the important part of all of this qualifying is it's managing how the different drivers take to the cars, take to the tracks, and manage the tyres. So the AMs, they had the freshest tyres, they had the best opportunity for what they could do. But then, you know, they've got this qualifying 2, the first of the pros get in, the tyres are sort of keeping returning temperature, they're getting some lap times in, 27 degrees air temperature. Only 48% humidity, though. It doesn't feel like that here in the commentary booth, but nope. But that's what you get when you're in the... I will say, this is quite a small commentary booth.
It's a small commentary booth for 2 people and the column. There is a large column in the commentary booth. We don't really know why, but that's fine. Of course, we also have all this tech and stuff, so that's why we're complaining. We're just taking this as complaint hour.
Yes.
Obviously not the case. Qualifying has begun for the all-important 3rd and final qualifying session. There is 14 minutes left. They are on their outlaps at the moment, and once they come round to start getting those times onto the board, we'll do our best to keep you as updated as possible with what's happening in the GT3s, in the 992s, and in the GTX category, even though I think the GTX category is pretty much secured as being pole position for the 720 RD Science Ciulia Racing Team car. I do believe that Super Trofeo has it. Unfortunately, the Vortex, despite how much I love that car, is not quite quick enough to challenge.
It's a stunning car, though, and it sounds incredible as well.
And it's so loud, and I don't mean that in volume, I mean in colour. We can just see it on our picture at the back end of the shot as it's just coming down towards the Curva Alboreto. It looks fantastic.
It really does, and as you say, it stands out. But of course, the Vortexes, they've had a mixed start. There was 2 Vortexes to start off this season. We've just got the one here today. There's been a mixed bag with the wheels just completely detaching themselves from the cars in the opening couple of rounds of the championship. Hopefully that won't be a following on issue here at Monza, but definitely just for the sake of wanting to see those cars to the end and do as best as they can. I just hope they have a good time out there. But the first lap times will be coming in soon as we're starting to get the opening sectors in, and the BMW Italia Chicotto Racing outfit, the early mark has been set by them in Sector 1.
Yeah, they were the ones that we were keeping our eye on our screens at the moment as we were racing through the likes of the Roger, through Lesmo 1 and through Lesmo 2. They're going through Lesmo 2, which is the top end of the circuit now, and racing their way down towards Ascari, which is where we have that second sector split, so we can keep you updated. We have noted that, to be fair, the first couple of lap times in the qualifying sessions have not particularly been the fastest, as the drivers are building themselves into the session wisely. It's not necessarily about tyre life and tyre condition, it's just about the drivers building themselves up into it. These tyres and brakes will still be plenty warm enough from the session they've just had, because a reminder to you, for anyone who's not joined us for any of the Creventic 24-hour series qualifying sessions, they don't change tyres. They start the session in Q1 with these tyres and they run them all the way through Q1, Q2 and Q3 as well.
Certainly do. First lap times coming in now as they cross the timing line to get themselves across there. The Haas RT team, early benchmark of a 1 minute 50.107 in this session. So there's a mistake from that number 1 Shearer car, so Shearer Sport PHX, having issues down there at the Rettifilio.
Yeah, that first complex corner has actually dropped them out ahead of the Kessel Racing car, who probably won't be particularly pleased about what's ahead of them. They're going around Curva Grande now, up towards the Rogia. We might well see a little bit of racing. You can kind of see some weaving there. And on our screens now, for anyone joining us in the visual side, you're getting blinded by the bright purple of one Mr. Rubens Barrichello out onto the racetrack in this third and final qualifying session in the 992 category. I've once again just seen that Shearer Sport PHX car just have quite the slide going through the first Lesmo and still keeping that Kessel Racing car behind. If I'm in that brand new Ferrari 296, I'm almost thinking, how do I get through? This is now turning into a bit of a race and I'm getting frustrated.
And they're only setting personal... Well, I mean, they're setting personal best, to be fair, at Kessel, so it's not like they're being hindered too much, but it's only the start of this third qualifying session.
What could it be?
Yeah, what could it be? Is very much the question that you would have. But, yeah, there was a couple of cars late out of pit road once again, just taking that time to make sure that everything is in the correct state. Make sure they've got a little bit of extra tyre temperature into those tyres before they head on out onto qualifying. But Charles Espendaub in the CP Racing car just setting a 1 minute 50.845. That puts him up to provisionally second place in qualifying top AM category GT3 car.
Yeah, and once again, the time coming in from that Haas car, the 21, has gone back up to the top with a 49.856. There's plenty of time left in that number 21, it seems. And again, to remind you as well, they've got that pace. We can see more from them. The fastest car so far has been the Shearer Sport PHX car. That was in qualifying 2 when they set a 48.998. So we're still around about a second or so off of that kind of lap time, but that was set fairly late in the session. There was a little bit of slipstream resistance from Kessel Racing as well for them, and so there is still time in the session to see those improvements and to see those challenging the Haas RT car for that pole.
Red Ant Racing just gone up the order in their 992 category car, so the Arnold Nevling, the South African, getting himself up into third place in class, currently led by the Toro Racing by HRT Performance outfit. So the 992 is quite close, and again, they are beating GT3 cars on pace here.
And I do believe, by the way, that is the second session we're seeing Arnold Neveling in this session, because did actually set the time in the previous session. Again, it is a 2-car team, as we're seeing the improvements going over the laps this time. It is the Herbert Motorsport car that has just taken over provisional pole position here in the Hankook 12 Hours of Monza. Of course, there's plenty of time left in the session, 7 minutes and 15 seconds, but it's all building up to quite the crescendo, Paul.
It certainly is. It's given us a bit of excitement because the times, they are close. I mean, the average lap time between first and second place, it's only about 16 thousandths of a second difference between the two.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, Peter Mackay, whilst we're in the session, we've got 7 minutes left to go. He is down in pit lane with Adam Christodoulou, who set the fastest 9.92 qualifying time of the previous session.
It's very close in the 9.92 qualifying session. Toro Racing by HRT looking good. I'm here with Adam Christodoulou. Adam, this muggy, hot temperature is a bit different than the Nürburgring a few weeks ago.
Well, it's quite amazing how the Nürburgring was dry for all 5 days. I think they said that was the first time that happened in like 22 or 23 years. But yeah, obviously, it's as expected, it's meant to be warm here. It proved to be a little bit of a problem yesterday, but so far, I think we've got the setup within the window. Maybe we lose a little bit of performance, but I think for the endurance of the race, we're looking good.
It's really cool to see Toro Racing over here racing in Europe. Lokai Lo he's nailing it at the moment in the Carrera Cup Asia. He's leading the championship. How's he been doing over here in Europe, taking his kind of steps in racing here at this level?
He seems to really be enjoying it, and so I believe it's his first time in Europe racing, and so it's his first time here. And obviously it's the quickest circuit that we have in Europe, and so yeah, every time he gets out he seems to be smiling. But yeah, it's just one of these that Eric wanted to bring him over, and obviously the last race at Spa was brilliant for us. We ended up walking away with the win there, and between those boys, they've been winning out in Asia as well. So we thought we'd come back for a little bit more.
Does this mean we might see you going over to Asia to race in the Carrera Cup in one of their cars over there?
I have no idea. Who knows? I've raced over there a few times with Eric in the CEC Championship and in the China GT Championship, so I'm hoping to get back out there towards the end of the season. But right now it's super busy mid-season here in Europe. I'm off to America next week, which is the first time in a few years, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
And question is, looking quite close on the timesheets, do you think it's going to be enough to get that pole?
I hope so. Like the thing is, okay, has been super quick out there, and so yeah, let's see. It's just gone red now, and I'm like itching to get back to have a look at the timing. But no, I think we're looking good. Obviously, it's a 12-hour race, so yeah, it'd be nice to get the pole position. But realistically, we're in it for the long run, and we want to get the thing set up and in a good position for the next 2 days.
We'll let you get back to the time, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Peter, for that. But we have got a red flag here. This is going into the Ascari chicane, and it is the 950 of Q1 Track Racing. Rubens Barrichello lost control of the car under braking, has gone into the barriers here. Fortunately, there's Tech Pro barrier in front of the tyre barrier, gravel trap as well. But that's that team now done for the rest of qualifying, and Rubens, he quite obviously is not happy about that.
No, obviously you can see him there over the left-hand side, thankfully out of the car, and is seemingly fine. Obviously, it's not too long of a walk from there back over into the pit lane. Obviously, a bit of a longer track for the car. We can't see how much damage there is, but we saw the speed it went off over onto the right-hand side. There was a replay of it. It went off quite fast. It was quite early in the braking zone. It snapped. We've spoken about this a few times in the broadcast. We've been watching a few cars going into the braking zones and kind of like wobbling left to right every so often. And this was one where clearly it was pushed a little bit too far. Maybe asked a little bit too much. Maybe there was something with the car as well. Again, we do not know. But it went off. It shot off quite aggressively to the right-hand side. I don't want to say any more from that because, to be fair, the wall actually looks fine. And I didn't really see if it had clipped the wall that hard. Yeah. It definitely hit the Tech Pro, but I don't think it hit it that hard. And it went through the gravel. Now, obviously, there is going to be some damage, but we will keep our fingers crossed that the damage won't be too bad, as I think I just saw a drone flying around all of it. So Get that pesky drone out of there.
No, let's get the pictures from it. So
Let's get
see what's going on.
Let's get the live coverage from this drone.
But well, Rubens is directing the crane driver on how to recover the vehicle. So obviously want to make sure there isn't any additional damage done to that vehicle. And well, there's 5 minutes and 23 seconds remaining here in this session. Whilst we are under red flag here, the session will be resumed.
Yeah,
is the news from race control.
And this is so. What's happening now is that car is being recovered. Now, what I want to take a look is see if we can keep an eye on it, and so we can describe if there's too much damage. The rear end actually looked, from the briefest angle that we saw there, surprisingly okay. There's a bit of scuffing on the front bumper, but if I'm perfectly honest, again, I'm not an engineer, that car does not look too bad.
Yeah, it's as you say, a little bit of scuffing on the front, a bit of wax on the paintwork just to bring that shine back out again.
Or maybe they can stick the bumper on from the orange one they've got in the garage.
Well, yeah, they have got the orange. That would look a bit of contrast, though. Orange on a purple
it would look
car.
awful.
Yeah.
And part of me would love it for it.
But the question is, though, yeah, we're seeing scuffing there, but on these Porsche 992 cars, that's where all the radiators are.
Yeah.
So you've got the water radiator, you've got gearbox radiator in there as well. All there packaged in that front of that car. It's a rear-engine car.
Yeah.
My question is there anything, even just a hose knocked?
Well, yeah, because obviously, even if it's rubbed across the barrier, there would have been a significant force and vibration that's gone through the front end of that car. And like you say, that can just knock a hose off. It can knock a couple of screws loose in the front, which obviously these cars are highly maintained. Now, obviously, any of the teams in the paddock, they're not going to take it back to the garage, take the front bumper off, put a new front bumper on, go, oh, I'm sure that'll be fine. They're going to investigate all that. They'll take the bumper off, they'll investigate everything that needs to be investigated and see exactly where things are with the car, where things are presently standing. And again, I have no doubt that car will be fine for tomorrow's race.
Well, the drivers are either out of the car or just sat in the car but with the doors open on pit road. They're waiting for the session to restart, because what we have discovered through Q1 with the red flag is that even with 3.5 minutes, you can improve your times. So, yeah, I will imagine that everyone will go back out there to get times. The session will be resumed at 17:43, so in about a minute's time, in fact, maybe less than a minute's time, they will be back under green flag condition.
In fact, now.
Yep, there we go. And I think the drivers all struggling. It's like the queue out the supermarket exit of the car park, all struggling to find first gear.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think it is the HRT Performance car that is the first one out. The 967 was the first one out. They're followed out by Kessel Racing as well in the number 8. So all rushing out to get out of pit lane ASAP. The provisional pole times, or the provisional pole sitters in each of the categories. The number 21 Haas RT is on pole position in the GT3 category, and they've got it by an average of 11 thousandths of a second. It is insanely tight, and that is just over the 91 of the Herberth Motorsport car. So certainly not done within the GT3 category, and we'll keep you apprised of that as best we can. On provisional pole position in the 992 category, it's the 930, which of course was the Toro Racing car that we were catching up on, and also the 985 as well, which is the Neuhofer Rennsport car, which is in the pit lane. Now, we're seeing those cars are still in the pit lane, and as far as we're aware, the 930 is not going out again.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously feel comfortable that even if they did get the time beaten, it'd be difficult for them to actually to lose too many positions. Herberth Motorsport are just going out of pit road now on our timing screen, so they again waited about a minute and a half, 2 minutes of this resumed qualifying 3 before they go back out in their Porsche 911 GT3R, the 992 version, if my eyesight is correct. Yes, it is. So we are getting word from pit road as well, is that there's a little bit of a breeze brewing as well.
Yeah, it seems to have, the clouds have come over a bit more. It seems to have cooled down ever so slightly. A bit more wind in the air, although looking around at some of the trees and stuff that we've got, there's not actually too crazy going on. So I think it might be okay out there to attack. And obviously, that's one thing that you do not want as a racing driver. You do not want a massively gusty day, because that's where the car can get into unpredictable characteristic territory, and then you can be put onto the back foot. So again, the top 3 in the GT3 category are out on circuit. I did just see the CP Racing car come out of pit lane in the recent past. There is 2 minutes and 40 seconds left of this qualifying session, so there is enough time for the CP Racing, Herbeth Motorsport and Haas RT cars to do another lap time and see if they have anything else in the tank to improve. We'll head down though to pit lane because Peter Mackay is with the Haas team.
Yes, I'm down at Haas Racing Team at the moment, who sit on provisional pole at the moment. I'm here with team owner Sandrine Haas. Your boys are close. A couple of minutes to go. How are the nerves?
My nerves? Oh, they're going to explode and I don't know. It's really stressing because there's a very, very tiny gap. So.
Your team have done it before, getting on pole at Spa. Is there a special technique that you've had? Is there an approach? Why are you guys making the difference in qualifying this year?
I don't know, maybe because, I don't know, there's no technique. I think it's just working hard, as usual.
You're guarding your secrets, obviously. Tell us about the race tomorrow. What can we expect tomorrow?
You never know what to expect in an endurance race, so first we'll see if we're still on pole or not after this, and then expecting, well, we'll do our best as usual.
We wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Sandrine Haas there. At the moment, things are looking good for the team as we head into the final 70 seconds of qualifying. Can the Haas Racing team hang on to that pole position? Is there going to be any pressure from behind? I don't know what the sector times are looking at, but it does seem as though if anyone's improving right now, it is the Haas Racing team, as I've just seen the 907 RPM racing car go straight on at the Retifilio, so their final lap has been thrown straight into the bin I kicked over earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to clarify, it was in the commentary booth, not a random bin.
Yeah, you might as well. But the thing is, you might as well push on and just see what you can do with the rest of the lap, though, just for the car for tomorrow. Obviously, don't bin it, but certainly just keep on pushing on and try and do what you can. There are quite a few cars actually on pit road, though, at the moment, so they're not doing. And I'm not really seeing many personal bests coming through in live timing right now, so I wonder, with that changing conditions slightly, maybe the time has gone away from everyone.
Yeah, maybe they're just not finding the balance in the car. The Herbeth car, by the way, has just crossed the line with about 5 seconds left to go. So there is time for them to go and do something more as they race their way into the Retifilio, taking to the curbs quite nicely. And again, when it comes to average times, it is 11 thousandths of a second between first place and second place. It is enormously close. The average times being a 49.943 for the number 21 Haas Racing team, and then a 49.954 for the number 91 Herbeth Motorsport car. The Haas Racing team, though, they're about to come through the final corner and finish their last lap. Is there any improvement left? It could be crucial.
Personal best middle sector from them, so they are making some improvement as we wait for them to come across the line. The checkered flag waves at them, and do they improve their lap time? No, is the answer.
That was very dramatic, all for nothing. First sector as well from the 91 is slightly faster. The second sector, though, that's just been set by the Herbeth Motorsport car is purple. It is the fastest second sector we have seen in this session. The number 91, that's 11 thousandths shy of a pole position, is pushing hard to try and find something special on this Friday afternoon.
Oh, this is tension now. Robert Renauer will be extracting everything that he can out of that car to try and get pole position. We will look to the finish line, the timing line, and see what he can do.
It is enough. It is enough.
Yeah. What a final sector, another purple final sector from them. Pole position for tomorrow's race.
Absolutely fantastic. Now, we were just catching up with Sandrine Haas there, and she was saying, you know, she doesn't know how the team keeps finding this and does that and does that. Well, unfortunately, they've just been denied pole position. It was intensely close up to the end there, but by less than a tenth of a second on average times, it will be the number 91 Herbert Motorsport car is going to be the one starting from pole position in the Hankook 12 Hours of Monza tomorrow. That is a very impressive lap time.
Incredible stuff from that Herbert Motorsport Porsche 911 GT3R, the 992. And of course, it's Pro-Am pole as well, so it's not just pole position overall, but also pole position in class. The top Am position in GT3 is the CP Racing team getting themselves into pole position in Am out there in GT3. So yeah, definitely. And we did finally see at the end of that final session, none of the 992s were able to beat any of the GT3s in the end.
No, and of course in that category is the 930, the Toro racing car. Obviously we're just catching up with Adam Christodoulou through that session. Luke Hilo has been the one in this qualifying 3 and has done enough to secure that pole position for the 930 ahead of the 985, the Neuhofer racing car, and then it's the Red Ant racing car that actually did Q1 in pole position, so unfortunately dropped off a little bit there, but still in Q2, in Q3, still hovered around in the third positions as things are being wheeled into position in the pit lane. It's busy times down there, and like you say, celebrations for various teams, and rightfully so, after what has been quite a long, particularly for the GT3s, what has been quite a long qualifying, down to 2 red flags, one in Q1, one in Q3. A lot of drama, and working to come out on top. Very impressive for our pole sitters of each of their respective classes.
And we've touched on it as well with the 992s, the AM category 992s, EST1 Racing getting pole position in their particular subsection of the 992s, so really working well for them. So Axel Ryman, who gets themselves to pole position, but Herbert Motorsport, great result. There's hugs all around for them down on pit road. They are absolutely delighted to get themselves on pole position.
Certainly so. Again, thumbs up all around. And again, we'll do our best to get words from the Herbert Motorsport team, as well as in our 992 category, the Toro racing car. We'll head down though, because Peter Mackay is with them.
I'm down here with Robert Renauer. Robert, that was a heck of a lap. The last lap of that qualifying session put you beyond Haas RT. How does that feel to put this new 992 on pole position?
It's great. I know it was close in between us and the Audi, so I had to push to the end. So luckily I got a really, really good lap in the end. Wasn't expecting a pole position now, but very happy now.
When we chatted earlier, you mentioned that this new version of this Porsche GT3R is maybe made with a little bit more of Le Mans in mind, given that it's going to be racing at Le Mans next year. Does that help it on a circuit here like Monza, where they often test for somewhere like Le Mans?
For sure. On top speed side, it's good. We are matching the pace of the other cars. Maybe we're missing a bit of acceleration, but top speed is great with this car, so maybe that's the goal of the car.
Tell us a little bit what it's like to be the owner, because many drivers are asked to come and join a team by the team owner. You're the star driver and the team owner as well. What's that like? What's that dynamic like for you?
Well, it's super busy. We keep working on the car by our own, together with our mechanics. That's maybe one key point, but yeah, still have a lot of fun, and we enjoy it.
Congratulations on a great lap. Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. There goes our pole-sitting team, our pole-sitting car. Again, seemed fairly calm. Also, by the way, just to touch on that that point that Peter made about how this car has been testing, getting ready for Le Mans next year. Obviously, with the introduction of GT3s, it's been amazing to see this kind of progression and stuff. But alas, that is the case. All getting a little bit of a team photograph as they'll get themselves ready, as we get ourselves ready for highlights of the qualifying session.
Yeah, certainly. And why wouldn't you get a photo? Again, in pole position at Monza, historic motorsport venue. It's certainly one that these teams will have all wanted to be at.
Well, we'll get ourselves ready and we'll head into the highlights session. Car as well as the Toro Racing in their respective sessions. We'll take a look though at what's coming up next. Because, of course, tomorrow we've got ourselves the race. It begins, live coverage from us begins at 11:30 local time. The race expected to begin at midday. And, of course, it'll be part one. It'll be 6 hours of thrilling racing, Paul.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to this one, and it's definitely going to be an exciting race. And of course, well, this is definitely one to look forward to tomorrow. You do not want to miss it.
Yeah, so from myself, Liz McGlade, from Paul Smith alongside me, from Peter Mackay down in pit lane, and everyone here at Radio Show Limited, we'll see you tomorrow at 11:30 for the Hankook 12 Hours of Monza.